okay, the teaching and learning theories and principles. Okay, so ayan. So for next slide, ma'am, please. Okay, so for field study 3 naman, or it seems there is general objectives here. For the general objectives, so I will not anymore read this one. Maybe Sir Rowell will provide you this slide lang, okay? So arrive at experiential knowledge, so on and so forth. So for field study 3 is we will be talking about the technology in the learning environment. As we all know that in the 21st century learning, we are not anymore attached in the traditional teaching. Okay? So it means especially now, di ba? So since we are still in the middle of the pandemic, so what we have is technology in order for us to stay connected and in order for us to let's say to build linkages with other people. So this field study enriches students experiences in developing and utilizing appropriate technology, okay, so to facilitate learning. So that's why 21st century teacher must engage themselves in different technologies kasi sometimes mas may alam pa yung mga students sa atin, no, compare sa atin when it comes to technology because they are more advanced compared sa atin. Okay? So next slide please. So for field study 4 naman, it's about exploring the curriculum. Okay, so as we all know that curriculum is the core. Okay, so when you explore the curriculum, it gives you the idea what subject matter content should you attach, okay, for you to be able to deliver effective and efficient lesson to your learners. So it unfolds the meaning of the curriculum from the student's point of view. Okay, so ayan. Next slide, please. So for field study 5 naman, it's about learning assessment strategies. Okay, so assessment. So once again, assessment is very pivotal or it's very fundamental. It's very important because through assessment, it would give you the idea whether you achieve your intended learning outcomes. Okay, so pag hindi mo na-achieve yung intended learning outcomes mo, ano yung gagawin mo? You will provide remedial instruction to the learners para lang what you call this, para lang ma-cope up yung mga hindi nila naintindihan. Okay, so ayan. Next slide, ma'am. Okay, so for field study naman, field study 6, it's about on becoming a 21st century teacher. So ito na yung last part, okay? On becoming a 21st century teacher, yung practice teaching natin. Okay, so on becoming the 21st century teacher is one of the experiential learning courses of the prospective teacher. So in other words, our school is already exposing us, di ba? Meron tayong mga in-campus, meron tayong mga out-campus para if gagraduate na tayo, if maging teacher na tayo, alam na natin kung paano i-handle yung mga students na may iba't ibang behavior. Okay? So ayan. So next slide, ma'am. So now let's proceed with the question and answer. So I wanted to prepare your answer sheet, okay? Kung meron kayong answer sheet, and then you have 45 seconds, okay? You have 45 seconds, so please practice your shading, all right? So check your own paper, and then later, you will count your score na lang, all right? Okay, so let's proceed. For question number 1, ayan, for question number 1, with the NCBTS as guide, an ideal learning environment should have the following characteristics, except, okay? So I guess this item, bonus item na kasi siguro nakita nyo na yung sagot, all right? So letter A, the learning environment promotes fairness. Number 2, is safe and conducive for learning. Number 3, letter C, builds many professional linkages. And letter D, establishes and maintains consistent standards of learners' behavior. Okay? So it says here, as guide, no? An ideal learning environment now should have the following characteristic, except. So among the choices, saan dyan ang hindi kabilang sa NCBTS? Is it letter A, letter B, letter C, or letter D? All right? So wait for a while. Okay. All right, so what's your answer? So you can also type your answer in the chat box or you can shade in your answer sheet. Okay, so ayan. Letter A. Except po, ha? Except. Ayan, with the NCBTS as guide, an ideal learning environment should have the following, okay? National Competency-Based Teacher Standards. So ano? Okay, so Ma'am Thea, answer reveal. Okay, so the correct answer is letter C. Build many professional linkages. Okay, why? Next slide, ma'am. Okay, so as you can see here, in the NCBTS, okay, or the National Competency-Based Teacher Standards and Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers, okay? So for under NCBTS, first things first is you will be talking about social regard for learning, okay? So that's the first one for NCBTS. For number 2 is learning environment. And for number 3 is diversity of learners, okay? So diversity of learners, as we all know, learners are coming from a diverse background or diverse group. So basically, as a teacher, you need to understand their behavior. So number 4 is curriculum and planning. Number 5 is assessing and reporting. Number 6 is community linkages. And number 7, it's your personal growth and professional development. So yung si letter C kanina, andito po siya sa Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers. Wala siya sa NCBTS. Okay? So yan po yung kaibahan ni NCBTS and kay Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers. Okay? So for PPST, number 1, we have the content, knowledge, and pedagogy. Number 2, we have the learning environment. Number 3, diversity of learners. Number 4, curriculum and planning. Number 5, assessment and reporting. Number 6, community linkages and professional engagement. And number 7, it's your personal growth and professional development. Okay, so yan. Next slide, ma'am, please. Thank you so much. Okay, so for number 2 question, which facilities are present in a health promoting school environment? Okay, again, which facilities are present in a health promoting school environment? I would like to highlight this one. Health promoting school environment. Number 1, canteen that sells all kind of food, including junk food. Number 2, comfort rooms common for boys and girls. Number 3, sanitary drinking fountains. Number 4, safe playground. Okay, so letter A, is it 2, 3, and 4? Letter B, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Letter C, 1 and 2, or letter D, 3 and 4. Okay, so sige, I will give you 45 seconds. Again, try to try to understand the question. Not only the question, but rather try to understand as well the choices. Okay, understand the choices. Ayan, so I can see answer letter A, letter B. So for letter A, that's 2, 3, and 4. So it means comfort rooms, common. Ano yung word na common for boys and girls? Okay, so are you sure? All right, so again, I'm reminding everyone to please observe our house rules here. Okay, so what's our house rule? Please always check your microphone po, para you won't disturb other reviewers who are present dito. Okay? So ayan. So what's your answer? So I can see someone answered letter D, letter D. Wait, I can hear some background noise. Okay, sige. So letter D, letter D. Okay, sige. Answer reveal, ma'am. Okay, so the correct answer for this one, it's letter D. Okay, very good. Letter D. Kasi si number 1, si number 1, canteen that sells all kind of food, including junk food, it negates, parang what you call this, hindi siya into positive 1, di ba? What's the purpose of having Nutrition Month, discussing healthy foods, healthy lifestyle, and then you are selling junk food, no? Yung canteen nagsisell ng junk food. So what's the purpose of that? So basically, i-X na si number 1. Si number 2 naman, it's comfort rooms common for boys and girls. So wala nang privacy ang mga lalaki at saka babae, di ba? So ayan. So the best answer is 3 and 4 only. Sanitary drinking fountains. I don't think so if it's if in public school do you have this sanitary drinking fountains, no? And safe playground. So the best answer is letter D, 3 and 4. All right? So yan. Okay, next slide, ma'am. Thank you so much. Okay, for number 3, which physical school environment supports learning? Okay, so again, we are talking about physical environments, and this physical environment is susceptible to FS1 or field study 1. Okay, so letter A, availability of flexible classroom furniture. Letter B, presence of spacious classrooms. Letter C, prominence of bulletin boards in every building. And letter D, tall school buildings. Okay, so again, we are talking here about environment, physical school environment that supports learning. Although all the choices naman, no, yeah, all the choices naman will really support learning. Pero ano kaya yung pinaka the best? Sabi nga nila in professional education, you need to choose the best answer because all the choices are correct. So you really need to become wise, analyze the question and analyze as well the choices. Okay? So sige, what do you think is the correct answer for this one? So allow me to check the chat box here. So I can see someone answered letter D, letter D. Number 2 pa pala to. Okay, letter B, letter C. Okay. Again, physical school environment. Okay, so answer reveal, ma'am. What's the answer? Okay, so the answer for this one, it's letter A. Okay, mas lamang si letter A compare kay letter B. Kasi si letter B, it's only the presence of spacious classrooms. So ano ngayon, di ba? For letter A naman, flexible classroom furniture. So it means it would really cater, no? It would really cater learning, let's say, it would really cater, no? And at the same time, it would really make your learning environment conducive, okay? Conducive to learn. All right? So ayan. So next slide, please, ma'am. So flexible furniture means that classroom can be arranged into different configurations, okay? To accommodate, I would like to emphasize this one, to accommodate individual work, group discussions, or small group projects. So teachers, okay, teachers, you as future teachers, however, need training to be able to effectively teach in these classroom configurations and for them to be worth the expenses. Okay? So ayan. So next, number 4. Okay, number 4. When dealing with students who claims to be having problem with an assignment, the teacher is well informed about learning processes. Is what? Is it A, likely to conclude that there is no problem? Letter B, likely to recognize several causes for the student's difficulty rather than a single one. And letter C naman, more likely to focus on the difficulty than the student's experience of it. And letter D, likely to blame the pupil. Okay? Again, for number 4, try to analyze the question. It's kind of complicated. Number 4, when dealing with students who claims to be having problem with an assignment. So maybe the teacher failed to explain well about the direction. So that's why the student meron na siyang problema on how to do the assignment. So the teacher who is well informed about learning, ano yung gagawin? Okay? So what do you think? Is it letter A, letter B, letter C, letter D? For letter A, likely to conclude that there is no problem. Ay, walang problema yung bata. Okay? So letter B naman, likely to recognize several, okay? Several causes for the student's difficulty rather than a single one. For letter C naman, more likely to focus on the difficulty than the student's experience of it. And for letter D, likely to blame the pupil. So letter A, it should be out of the choices already because likely to conclude that there is no problem. Sinabi na nga may problema eh. Sa choices may problema. So sa teacher, wala daw problema. So letter A should be out. Si letter D naman, likely to blame the pupil. Why are you blaming the pupils? Okay, or the pupil? So bakit? So sometimes teacher factor, sometimes student factor din, no? So ayan, so we have here letter B and letter C. So si letter C naman, more likely to focus on the difficulty than the student's experience of it. So parang ano, you are focusing on the difficulty rather than sa experience ng mga bata. So the best answer for this one, it's letter B. Okay, so ayan. Okay, letter B. Kasi, next slide, ma'am. Kasi according to research, no? According to research, children seldom have just one problem. So there tend to be several factors that affect their ability to concentrate, do information processing, or use cues effectively for problem solving. As we all know, di ba? The individual differences of the students, okay? So as a teacher, you need to understand them one by one. That's why in the very beginning of the school year or before you will introduce the topic, you have assessment, you have diagnostic assessment for you to be able to know, okay, what's their strength and what's their weaknesses, okay? So yeah, next, number 5. Okay, for number 5, wait lang, allow me to mute. Okay, there you go. For number 5, a preschool teacher is thinking about how best to develop the fine motor skills of the 4-year-old. Okay, which of the following should best to consider? Fine, okay, fine motor skills of the 4-year-old. Is it letter A, provide daily coloring book activities? For letter B, ask the children to do repeated writing drills every day. For letter C, encourage children to eat independently. And for letter D, conduct a variety of fun and challenging activities involving hand muscles daily. Okay? So sige. You have 45 seconds to think of the answer. So again, we are talking here about the fine motor skills ng bata, ng 4-year-old. So what do you think is the correct answer for this one? So try to analyze the stem of the question and analyze as well the choices. Okay? So ayan. Okay, sige. So ano ba yung fine motor skill, teacher? Okay. So fine motor skill, actually, it is the skill in coordination with small muscles, okay, with small muscles, and at the same time, movement with your eyes, hands, and fingers, okay. So I guess I am already telling you what's the correct answer, okay. So ayan, kasi fine motor skill man. So basically, the best answer for this one is no other than but letter D. Okay, so you will conduct a variety of fun and challenging activities involving hand muscles daily because, bakit? Kasi fine motor skills. All right, so ayan. Next slide, ma'am. Okay, so ayan. So, for ito yung mga stages, no? For 0 to 6, ayan, reflexive grasp. So, poor muscle development and control kapag hindi na-achieve, okay? 6 to 12 months, reaches, grasp, put objects in mouth. So if hindi nagawa, poor development of hand and finger strength, so on and so forth. For 1 to 2 years naman, builds tower already of 3 small blocks, puts 4 rings on stick, places 5 bags in pegboard. Pero if na-failed, poor development of hand and finger strength, delayed independent play skills, delayed manipulation skills. Okay? So next slide, ma'am. So for 2 to 3 years naman, so strings for large beads, turn single pages of a book. So yan na yung kaya nilang gawin. Okay? So if na-failed nila yan during that stage, so there is a delayed self-care skills such as eating, delayed pre-writing skill development. So for 3 to 4 years old naman, so they can already manipulate clay materials. What else? Uses non-dominant hand to assist and stabilize the use of objects. So if na-failed nila during sa stage na yan, there is also a delayed poor self-care skills such as eating, delayed drawing skills. So I guess na-failed ako dito, delayed drawing skills kasi I don't have any skills when it comes to drawing. I can't even draw a straight line, di ba? So, yan. So, during sa stage naman, 4 to 5 years, so they can already copy cross, writes name, writes number from 1 to 5. So, if na-failed naman, difficulties holding and manipulating a pencil, so on and so forth. So, next slide, ma'am. So, for 5 to 6 years naman, so they can already draw basic pictures. So if na-failed, anong meron? Frustration, okay? Difficulties demonstrating academically on paper. So 6 to 7 naman, they can already form letters, numbers correctly. Okay, so tie shoelace independently. So if na-failed during sa stage na yan, anong mangyayari? Difficulties getting ideas down on paper. What else? May impact, okay? I would like to emphasize this one. May impact on self-esteem, okay, when comparing work to peers. So sa 7 to 8 years naman, maintains legibility of handwriting for entirety of a story. So if na-failed, anong mangyayari? Difficulties due to avoidance of pencil-based tasks. What else? Difficulty completing handwriting tasks in a timely manner, okay? So ayan po yung mga different stages. Okay, next. Let's go to number 6. For number 6, focusing on natural consequences of students' behavior, develop more self-regulation in the students. So which of the following teacher statements demonstrates focusing on natural consequences? So again, we are talking here about natural consequences. Letter A, those who were noisy today during sit work will not be allowed to play games in a computer later. Letter B, if it takes you longer to finish the sit work because time is wasted with chatting, then we won't have time to go to the playground anymore. Letter C, those who are well behaved in class will be given plus 5 points in the quiz. And for letter D, if you get a grade of 95 or higher in the first 2 assignments, you will be exempted from the 3rd assignment. Okay, so again, we are talking here about natural consequences. Okay, so ayan, so what do you think is the answer? So I can see answer here in the chat box, letter B. Okay, so coming from Jolly May. All right, so how about the others? So I guess you are shading your answer sheet there. Okay, especially for those na grupo-grupo sa CPSU Kawayan, Hinigaran Campus. So I guess you have your answer sheet there with you. Okay, so again, focusing down on natural consequences of students' behavior, develop more self-regulation in the students. So which of the following teacher statements demonstrates focusing on natural consequences? All right. So ayan. So what's your answer? So I guess all of you got the correct answer. So yes, very good. The correct answer for this one, it's letter B. It is self-explanatory naman, no? Sabi ni teacher, if it takes you longer to finish the sit work because time is wasted with chatting, then we won't have time to go to the playground anymore. So syempre, yung mga bata is pag-motivate to do their sit work, okay? Sabi nila, uy, kailangan na natin tapusin yung sit work natin kasi after we done with our sit work, so basically we can go to the playground, no? So that's natural consequences, okay? Very good. Next, number 7. Next slide, ma'am. Thank you so much. Next, number 7. Learners are more likely to internalize and follow classroom rules when. So again, we are talking here about classroom rules. Is it letter A? The teacher clearly explains the rules she prepared. Letter B, the learners knows the punishments for not following the rules. Letter C, the learners participates in the rule-making process. And for letter D, the teacher gives additional points for those who follow the rules. Okay, sige, we are talking here about implementing classroom rules and regulation, especially in observing the teaching and learning process. All right, so what do you think? Letter A, the teacher now. The teacher clearly explains the rules she prepared. So it means there is no engagement with the student. So it's the teacher who prepared. Sabi ng teacher, okay, so class, ito yung rules natin. Number 1 is EOP, English Only Policy. Number 2, please remain silent, so on and so forth. For letter B naman, the learners knows the punishment for not following the rules. So alam ng learners kung ano yung punishment. For example, they speak using their own dialect. So they will pay 5 peso every word, di ba? So yun yung punishment. Kasi yung rule nga is EOP, English Only Policy. Letter C naman, the learners participate in the rule-making process. Okay, it's a positive option. For letter D naman, the teacher gives additional points for those who follow the rules. So what do you think is the answer? Okay, answer reveal. So the correct answer for this one, yes, it's very obvious. It's letter C. Okay, so the learners participate in the rule-making process because as a teacher, you need also to, wait lang. Allow me to, okay. As a teacher, wait lang, I can hear some background noise. Okay, there you go. Ayan, so please check your microphone, teachers. Okay, so ayan. So as a teacher, you need to engage your learners, especially in formulating rules and regulations po inside the classroom para they are aware din. Okay, it doesn't mean teacher, no? You are the teacher, you are the authoritarian, no? You have all the power. Not like that, okay? You should also consult your learners. Ayan. Okay, next, number 8. For number 8, okay, for a teacher to establish and maintain consistent standards of learners' behavior, they should do all except, okay? Please be mindful, no? Except daw. Wait lang, I can still hear some background noise. Can you please always check your microphone? Thank you so much. So again, for a teacher to establish and maintain consistent standards. So when you talk about standards, you are adhering to the criteria, okay, of learners' behavior. They should do all. Ibig sabihin, gagawin nila lahat yan except. Letter A, give immediate feedback to reinforce appropriate behavior of learners. Letter B, be open to exceptions each time a learner misbehaves in class. Letter C, communicate and enforce school policies and procedures clearly and consistently. Letter D, handle behavior problems promptly and with due respect to learners' right. Sige, so if you will analyze the choices, isa lang yung choices na parang it denotes not naman totally negativity, no? Pero parang siya talaga naiiba. Okay. So, for letter A, give immediate feedback to reinforce appropriate behavior of learners. Yes, no? That's true. Give immediate feedback whenever the learner misbehave. Okay? For letter C naman, communicate and enforce school policies and procedures clearly and consistently. Yes, that's your right as a teacher. Okay? That's your right as a teacher. You need to what? You need to present policies and procedures clearly and consistently for them to be able to follow. For letter D, handle behavior problems promptly and with due respect learners' rights. Yes, that's true. So the correct answer for this one, it's letter B. All right? So be open to exceptions each time a learner misbehaves in class. Not all the time. All right? Not all the time. Ay, si learner 1, kasi ngayon lang naman siya nag-misbehave. So okay lang. So next time, wag na gawin ganon. Okay? Pwede magbigay ng warning. All right? Magbigay ng warning. According to our, sa law of the land natin, which is the Constitution, it talks about that ignorance of the law excuses no one, di ba? So ayan, dapat you should be aware. Okay, so nawala ata si Ma'am Thea. I don't know. Wait for a while. Ma'am Thea, are you there po? Wait lang. Is it brown out ata sa kanila? Wait. I really don't know why I can share my screen. Nawala din ba sa inyo, class?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
Nawala din.
Sorry, sir, ang signal.
Sige lang, ma'am. No worries, ma'am. Thank you
Pwede,
so much po.
pwede pa ka-host po again?
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Sure,
Kasi
ma'am.
hindi po ako makashare.
Yes po, ma'am. No worries
Okay,
po.
thank you.
Thank you din po, ma'am. I'm really sorry po about
Okay,
sa
sir.
ano. Ayan, ma'am. Co-host ka na po.
It's okay, sir. Thank you.
Are you still good, future teachers? Papasa ba sa board exam? Magtatap pa sa board exam? Ayan, yes naman, yes na yes. Law of attraction, manifesting, di ba? Magtatap sa board exam. So ngayon pa lang, start na kayo mag-review, okay? So yung key lang talaga is what? Read, 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 read. But of course, you need also to understand, okay? So ayan, amen sir, yes. Magtatap sa board exam. And para sa lisensya, di ba? Para sa lisensya, willing gawin ang lahat. Okay, so ayan. Alright, so thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, so let's continue. Ayan, so it's loading pa. Okay, so number 9 na tayo. Okay, so again for number 8, the correct answer is letter B. Be open to exceptions each time a learner misbehaves in class. Okay, let's proceed with number 9. Okay, number 9. All right, ma'am. Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, number 9. Which statement on student diversity is correct? Okay, so again, we're talking here about student diversity. So letter A, teacher must do his or her best to reduce student diversity in class. Letter B, the less diversity of students in class, the better for teacher and students. For letter C naman, teachers should accept and value diversity. For letter D, student diversity is purely due to students' varied cultures. So again, we are talking here about student diversity. Like I said a while ago, students are coming from a diverse group. So as a teacher, you need to understand every learner. If possible, avoid discrimination, racism, what else? Avoid all these negative impacts, no? So yun. So kasi diverse, 'di ba? Diverse yung kanilang mga the culture, the religion, etc. Okay? So which statement on student diversity is correct daw? So what's your answer? So I can see here in our chat box. So they are chatting here, letter C, letter C, letter C. Okay, yes, very good. It's pretty obvious, no? It's pretty obvious. The correct answer for this one is letter C. Teachers should accept and value diversity. Because letter A, teacher must do his or her best to reduce student diversity in class. Like how, di ba? How? Paano mo ma-reduce? Kasi iba-iba talaga yung background ng mga bata eh. For letter B naman, the less diversity of students in class, the better for teacher and students. So what if pala, galing sila sa iba't ibang background. So paano masasabi, di ba? So it negates negativity talaga, di ba? So the correct answer is, the best answer pala is it's letter C. Teachers should accept and value diversity. Okay? So ayan. Next, number 10. Okay, number 10. Which student thinking or behavior, wait, number 10, it seems like it's lagging, or maybe it's because of the internet connection ata. So it's beyond our control. Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Number 10, which student thinking or behavior indicates that he or she values diversity? Okay, again, which student thinking or behavior indicates that he or she values diversity? Letter A, he or she regards his culture as superior to others' culture. All right. Letter B, he or she regards his culture as inferior to others' culture. Letter C, he or she accepts the fact that all people are unique in their own way. And for letter D, he or she emphasizes on the differences among people and disregards their commonalities. Okay? So, ayan. Which student thinking daw? So, we are talking here about student thinking or behavior that really indicates, no, that he or she values diversity. Sige, what do you think is the correct answer? It seems like maraming magtatap sa board exam, di ba? Alam na alam talaga ang mga sagot. Okay, sige. So since alam niyo na yung sagot, so anong i-practice? Yung shading na lang i-practice niyo. Okay, so yan. For number 10, the correct answer, yes, you're right. It's letter C. Okay? So he or she accepts the fact that all people are unique in their own way. Yes, we are unique. For instance, si Ma'am Thea is good in linguistics, okay? So si Ma'am Pearly naman is good in mathematics. So they have their own strength, okay? So you cannot say na, ay, bobo ka dito. Bobo yan siya. Walang taong bobo. Tamad madami, no? Char, joke lang. Ayan. So very good. The correct answer for number 10, it's letter C. He or she accepts the fact that all people are unique in their own way. Okay, very good. Next, number 11. Number 11, what is a teaching learning implication of student diversity? So again, student diversity ulit yung topic natin, okay? But this time, it's already about teaching and learning, okay? Teaching and learning implication. Is it letter A? Compare students. So you will compare students, di ba? So yan, letter B, make use of variety of teaching and assessment methods and activities. Letter C, do homogeneous grouping for group activities. And for letter D, develop different standards for different student groups. So it's kind of like parang you are discriminating, di ba? So different standards. So for example, ikaw kabilang ka dito, so ito yung standards mo. Ikaw din, ito yung ano mo, so ito yung standards mo. So ayan. So letter A, it's a no-no. Okay? So wag kayo mag-compare ng estudyante. Baka meron dito sa inyo. Di ba? So I'm already reminding you, do not compare your students. Okay? Wag din maging favoritism si teacher. Ay, eto si Ma'am Pearly. Matalino to siya. So siya na lang always. Okay? Si Ma'am Thea. So ayan. So favoritism. Ay, eto si si Ma'am Quinley, nagbibigay ko ng chocolate. So 98 na siya agad, di ba? So ayan. So teaching learning implication of student diversity, yes, I can see that you're correct, no? So very good. The correct answer for this one is letter B, okay? So make use of variety of teaching and assessment methods and activities to cater student diversity or to cater the individual differences among the students. For number 10, the correct answer is letter C. Okay? Kanina, letter C po, Sir Ryan. Okay, so ayan, very good. Next, number 12. Okay, number 12. Read the following comments by the teacher. Which of these comments will most likely make a child try harder rather than give up? Okay, so it means as a teacher, you are also a motivator. Okay? Motivator so that your learners would be able to pursue or to keep going, to keep moving forward. Letter A, sinuwerte ka ngayon dito sa test ha. So parang sasabi mo, uy, parang lucky ka kasi na-perfect mo or mataas yung score mo, di ba? Letter B naman, hindi ka talaga magaling dito sa paksang ito, no? So ayan, parang emotional damage si teacher. Grabe naman, wag naman ganon. Letter C, nakikita ko na kailangan mong maglaan ng mas mahabang panahon sa paksang ito para lubos mong maunawaan ito. Pwede naman. For letter D, nahihirapan ka sa paksang ito, maaari kitang tulungan. Okay? So ayan. So basically, you will eliminate letter A and letter B. Okay? Kasi you are not anymore motivating your students. Diba? You are downgrading their morale. Sabi mo, sunerte ka ngayon. Diba? Dito sa test ha. So it means like parang loto-loto lang, di ba? So sinuwerte ka kasi na-perfect mo. Si letter B, hindi ka talaga magaling dito sa paksang ito. Ayan. So what you have right now, it's letter C and letter D. So someone answered letter C, someone answered letter D. So si letter D naman, nahihirapan ka sa paksang ito, maaari kitang tulungan. So it doesn't mean all the time the teacher will spoon feed the learners. Hello, we are already in the 21st century learning, wherein the role of the teacher is only a facilitator of learning. You are not anymore the guide, the sage rather. You are not anymore the sage on the stage, but rather, teacher's role in the 21st century learning is actually the guide on the side or facilitator na lang. You let the student discover, okay? So basically, the correct answer for this one, it's letter C. Okay, very good. Nakikita ko na kailangan mong maglaan ng mas mahabang panahon sa paksang ito para lubos mong maunawaan ito. So you will explain. So it takes time, di ba? Sabihin mo, yung mga pro player nga, di ba? Saan ba sila galing? So syempre mahina at first. So because nag-training sila, ayan, something like that. Gamitin po kasi ng anak ko yung cellphone ko for online class. Ah, yes, okay lang po. Sige lang. Anyway, recorded naman to. So Sir Rowell will upload this recorded session in your FB group po. Okay, so ayan. So for number 12, the correct answer is letter C. Very good. Next, let's proceed to number 13. Okay, for number 13, which of the following demonstrates differentiated instruction? Again, which of the following demonstrates differentiated instruction? Letter A, the teacher groups the learners by their ability level and makes the groups work with the same topic, but assigns a different task appropriate for each group to accomplish. Letter B, the teacher divides the class into 3 heterogeneous groups and assigns the same activity for each group to work on. Letter C, the teacher groups the learners by their ability level and assigns different content topics for the groups to work on. And for letter D, the teacher groups the learner by ability levels and assigns each group a different task on the same topic and then requests three different teachers to assess one of the groups. Ayan. So the question is kind of complicated, di ba? Because of the choices. The choices are too long. So the question is too short, but the choices are too long. Okay? So ayan, so you really need to understand not only the question, but the choices as well. So sige, what do you think is the answer? So we are talking here about differentiated instruction. So when you talk about differentiated instruction, it is actually an approach, no, that caters instruction to all students' learning needs. So what do you think is the best answer for this one? So I can see answers from the chat box. So letter A, letter A, letter A. So how about the others? What's your answer? So I can see from Hinigaran Campus, they are raising their cards. Letter A. Okay, so I guess you are answering in your answer sheet. And of course, you are checking your own paper, but please be honest, okay? So ayan, so that later you can assess yourself whether you are already ready para sa sabak sa battle. All right, so very good. The correct answer for this one, it's letter A. The teacher groups the learners by their ability level and makes the groups work with the same topic, but assigns a different task appropriate for each group to accomplish. Because what is differentiated instruction? Next slide, ma'am. So differentiated instruction by definition or per definition, it says that it is a teaching, okay? It is a teaching approach that tailors instruction to all students' learning needs. So all the students have the same learning goal. Yes, that's true. But the instruction, no, the instruction varies based on student interests, preferences, strengths, and struggles. So it says here, instead of teaching the whole group in one way like a lecturer, a teacher uses a bunch of different methods. This can include teaching students in small groups or in one-on-one session. That's why, if you can still remember, you have the subject principles of teaching 1 and 2 because the content from the said book, it's all about approaches. It's all about techniques because not all the time you will use the lecture method kasi mabuboard talaga ang mga teacher. So right now, I am using lecture method because you are preparing for the board exam. But if you're already in, let's say, in a real world application, so parang lecture method parang obsolete na siya, di ba? Especially today sa mga bata because they only have, I mean, they do have this short attention span. So dapat as a teacher, you need to be flexible enough to use the approaches and techniques in teaching and learning process. Okay? So yan. Next, let's proceed to number 14. Okay, very good. So all of you got the correct answer. Next, let's proceed to number 14. Number 14, Teacher Rose believes that students need not know the intended learning outcomes of her lesson. So she proceeds for her learning activities at once without letting them know what they are supposed to learn for the day. So which principle of learning does Teacher Rose negate or violate? Diba? Kasi sabi niya dito students need not know the intended learning outcomes of her lesson. So which principle of learning does Teacher Rose negate? Letter A, effective learning begins with setting clear expectations and learning outcomes. Letter B, learning is an active process. Letter C, learning is the discovery of the personal meaning of ideas. And for letter D, learning is a cooperative and a collaborative process. Sige, so what do you think is the answer for this one? Okay, ano daw yung na-violate? Okay, na-violate. For number 13, the correct answer is letter A. Sige, try to analyze. Try to analyze each choice or choices. No? So, sige. So, wait. Allow me to check the chat box. So, as your answer. So, I can see someone answered letter A, letter A, letter C, letter A, letter A, letter A, letter A. Okay, sige. Very good. The correct answer for this one, it's letter A. Okay? It's about effective learning begins with setting clear expectations and learning outcomes. That's why before you will proceed with your discussion, so you need to present first the objectives to your students. Sabihin mo, class, ito yung objectives natin for today's video. Na letter A, identify the parts of the plans. Letter B, so on and so forth. Letter C, so you really need to what? To present your objectives. Kasi according to the law of teaching and learning process, effective learning, okay, effective learning begins with setting clear expectations and learning outcomes. So according to Sir Raymond, she proceeds on the learning activities without presenting the learning objectives. Yes, that's true po. Okay, thank you so much for that, sir. All right, next slide, ma'am. Because effective learning, effective learning begins with the setting of clear and high expectations and learning outcomes. So teachers writes her intended learning outcomes on the board, or if you are using PowerPoint presentation, so you can flash on the screen, and then the teacher directly discuss the intended learning outcomes in front. Okay? So ayan, next, number 15. Number 15, Teacher Emma noticed that in group work, students just leave the work to the leader and so vowed never to give group work again. Which principle of learning is Teacher Emma's decision? Is it A, learning is an active process? Letter B, learning is a discovery of the personal meaning and ideas. Letter C, learning is a cooperative and a collaborative process. Wait lang, I can hear some background noise. Letter D, effective learning begins with setting clear expectations and learning outcomes. Ayan. Okay, so what do you think is the answer for this one? Okay, letter C, someone answered letter C, okay. Sige. So again, group work, group work. So students just leave the work to the leader daw. So pag may group, ayan, they fail to what? Okay, they fail to collaborate accordingly. So which principle of learning is teacher Emma's decision? Letter A, learning is an active process. Letter B, learning is a discovery of the personal meaning and ideas. Letter C, learning is a cooperative and a collaborative process. Letter D, effective learning begins with setting clear expectations and learning outcomes. Yes, very good. The correct answer for this one, it's letter C. Okay, very good. Learning is a cooperative and a collaborative process. So they failed, di ba? Kasi sabi nila, ay leader, ikaw na yan bahala. Yung role ko is tagaluto na ng pansit canton. So ayan, ikaw na bahala kasi ikaw lang naman may alam, di ba? So ayan, so very good. It's letter C. Next, number 16. Okay, for number 16, all right, next slide, ma'am. So for number 16, I failed to edit the correct answer. But sige, let's rationalize. Next, number 16. Okay, Ma'am Thea. Okay, nawala ata si Ma'am Thea. Wait lang. Hindi talaga ako makapag-share ng screen. Sige, nawala ata si Ma'am Thea. So, actually, it's beyond our control. So, yeah. So, it's beyond our control. Future teachers, so really sorry for that. So, we cannot control the connection. We cannot control the what you call this when it comes to mga lag ganyan ng mga laptops natin. So it's really beyond our control. Hindi talaga ako makapag-share ng screen. I really don't know why. What happened to Zoom? Maybe hindi ata updated si Zoom. That's why hindi ako makapag-share ng screen. Advanced. Computer, I can only share computer audio. When it comes to basic, I can only share whiteboard. Bakit yan? Sige, try ko daw mag-share ng whiteboard. Yeah, you can only see whiteboard. Whiteboard ang yung nakikita ninyo, right?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yeah. It's whiteboard
Yes.
lang talaga. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Sorry po talaga, ma'am, sa disturbo. Yeah.
Sorry po sa signal kasi hina.
Okay lang, ma'am. No worries po. Okay, sige, ayan. Okay, so where are we? Number 16 na tayo. Alright, so here, number 16. So for number 16, I failed to edit the correct answer. Pero sige, i-discuss muna natin to. Okay, so ayan. Okay, so slideshow. Okay, so for number 16, again, nakita nyo letter C ang sagot sa number 16. Pero hindi yun ang tamang sagot. Okay, sige, let's try to answer this one. In her desire to finish the content of her course syllabus, teacher Love just lectures while students listen. Which principle of learning does teacher Love violate? Is it A, learning is a discovery of the personal meaning of ideas? Letter B, learning is a cooperative and a collaborative process. For letter D, effective learning begins with setting clear expectations and learning outcomes. And for letter D, learning is an active process. Okay, so ayan. So ano yung na-violate na naman ni Teacher Love? Kasi lecture lang yung ginamit ni Teacher Love when explaining the lesson or the subject matter content. So ano kayo yung na-violate niya according to the law of teaching and learning process? Basically, not letter C, di ba? Kasi si letter C yung kanina, she failed to present the learning objectives. So si letter B naman, learning is a cooperative and a collaborative process. So that's about group work. Pag may makita kayong group work, etc. So that's learning, cooperative, and a collaborative process. Letter A naman, learning is a discovery of the personal meaning of ideas. It talks about experiences. So very good. Basically, the correct answer for number 16, it's letter D. Learning, it's an active process. Okay, so again, for number 16, it's letter D. Learning, it's an active process. Not letter C, it's letter D. You need to involve your students. Okay? You need to what? You need to engage your students in class discussion. What else? In group activities for them to be able to socialize, for them to be able to, I mean, for you as a teacher as well, not to check whether they understood or they understand the lesson very well. Okay? So again, for number 16, the correct answer, it's letter D. Learning is an active process. Okay, very good. Next, number 17. Number 17, Teacher Lil avoids drills out of context. She gives real-world math problems for students to drill on. Teacher Lil is very much convinced of which principle of learning. Ayan. So it means the content or the subject matter of Teacher Lil is actually what? Talks about the ideas, the meaning. So, kasi sabi niya dito, real world she gives real world math problems for students to drill on. So, Teacher Lil is more concerned about how the students develop, how the students will expose in a real world scenario. Okay? So, very good. Huwag nang patagalin pa. You already know the answer. Very good. It's letter B. Learning is the discovery of the personal meaning and ideas. Ayan. Okay, very good. Parang perfect ata to sila. Very good. Next, number 18. Let's proceed. Okay, number 18. Teacher Ruben wanted his students to rate their own work using the scoring rubric, which he explained to the class before the students began with their task. Based on revised Bloom's taxonomy, which level of cognitive processing are the students? Okay, so anong level na ng Bloom's taxonomy? Ng revise rather, no? Revise. Kasi kay revise, that's R-U-A-A-E, no? So remembering, understanding, what else? Applying, R-U-A-A-E, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Okay? So rate. So when you rate your own work using the scoring rubric, so which level of cognitive processing are the students? Is it evaluating? Is it synthesizing? Is it applying? Or is it analyzing? Sige. So try to understand the question. Somehow it really needs your knowledge here, no? So if you are not familiar with this, so from now on, try to browse your past lectures. Yung mga lectures nyo sa college, meron talaga yan. Na-explain talaga yan ni sir or ni ma'am sa inyo. Di ba? So yeah, allow me to check the chat box. Okay, so you are giving me the correct answer. Very good. It's letter A. It's evaluating. Okay? So ayan, evaluating. Okay, next slide, ma'am. So this is the revised, no, Bloom's taxonomy. So for number 18, sir, the correct answer it's letter B. Okay? So here are the what you call this the Bloom's taxonomy rather, no, here. So for remembering, so you will only recall facts and basic concepts. So these are the verbs: define, duplicate, list, memorize, repeat, state. Okay, so when I took the board exam, memorize ko talaga to kasi sometimes lumalabas yung mga verb lang. For instance, differentiate. So ano siya? Saan siya ma-fall? Sa analyze, sa apply, sa understand. Ayan. So please be familiar, no? Not naman totally memorize. Memorize talaga, but familiarize lang. Para pagdating sa board exam, hala familiar. Ayan. Okay, so for remembering, ito yung mga verbs. Understanding, of course, you will explain ideas or concepts. Applying, use information in new situations. So you will execute, implement, solve, use, demonstrate, interpret, what else? Operate, schedule, analyze, draw connections among ideas, and evaluate, justify a stand. So that's why earlier, you what? You rate, okay? So you evaluate. So here, appraise, argue, defend, judge, select, critic. So earlier you critic, no? You critic your own work. So that's why the correct answer is evaluating or evaluates. And lastly is the create, produce new or original works. So siya talaga yung pinakamataas, no? So design, assemble, construct, conjecture, develop, formulate, order, investigate, so on and so forth. Ayan, okay. So now let's proceed with number 19. Okay, number 19. You are required to formulate. So if you are listening a while ago, okay? If you're listening a while ago, so you can answer this question, number 19. So you are required to formulate your own philosophy of education in the course, the teaching profession, based on Bloom's revised taxonomy. In which level of cognitive processing are you? Okay, so ayan, you are required to formulate. So the verb here is to what? To formulate your own philosophy of education in the course teaching profession. So, sige, what's your answer? Hindi ko nakikita. I don't think so if you are answering in your answer sheet. I hope you are. I can only see CPSU Kawayan. I guess they are answering in their answer sheet. Ayan. Sana all naka-aircon ang mga CPSU Kawayan, no? Ito talaga yung aircon nila. Yan. Sige. So sa hinigaran medyo mainit. Nagpapaypayan sila ma'am at sir. Ayan. Sige lang, laban lang ta, padayon lang ta, di ba? So kahit mainit. So it's part of our sacrifices, future teachers, no? Kahit mainit, kahit gutom, kahit gusto pang matulog, still you will kailangan mo talagang bumangon. Ayan, sige. So what's the answer? Allow me to check the chat box. So letter B, creating because it's formulating. Okay, not formulating pala. Yeah, formulating your own philosophy. Therefore, it's creating. Okay, very good. The correct answer for number 19, it's letter B, creating. Because of the verb formulate your own philosophy of education. Ayan, very good. Next, let's proceed to number 20. Okay, number 20. Teacher Danny requires his class to conduct research, write a research report, and defend the same before a panel of experts. Before a panel of experts. In which level or levels of processing will the students be engaged? Okay. So again, so you are conducting research, no? So anong level do ng processing will the students engage? So meron tayong 1, retrieval, number 2, comprehension, number 3, analysis, number 4, knowledge utilization. Letter A, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Letter B, 3 and 4. Letter C, 2, 3, and 4. Letter D, 1, 3, and 4. Okay, sige, what do you think is the answer? Yes, you're right, Sir Raymond. Levels of processing. What do you think is the answer for this one? So, Teacher Danny daw required his class to conduct research. So, write a research report and defend the same before a panel of experts. So, in which levels of processing will the students be engaged? Ayan, so research. So, all of us, maybe not all of us, but I really hate research, no? Okay pang action research. Ayan, so right now, I'm struggling in my MA kasi may research na kami. So until now, still, no? In the processing pa rin sa paggawa ng research. So hopefully, within this year, I would be able to accomplish para makagraduate na unta, no? Makagraduate na ta. Ayan, sige. So what do you think is the answer? So I can see here in the chat box, letter A, letter A, letter A, letter A, letter A. Yes, very good. So all of this, no, are present. Diba? All the levels of processing are present when you are conducting research. Retrieval, comprehension is part, diba? Because you will also comprehend the other researches, diba? Para you can see their alignment, whether that research is susceptible to the current research that you are conducting. Analysis, that's part as well. And of course, the knowledge utilization. So therefore, for number 20, the correct answer is letter A. Okay, very good. Next, let's proceed to number 21. All right, number 21. Teacher Bing encourages her students to make the intended learning outcome their own and explain that she expected them to monitor now and their own progress toward the intended learning outcome and act accordingly. In which level of processing will teacher brings students act? Is it A, cognitive? Letter B, self-system? Letter C, metacognitive system? Or letter D, between cognitive and metacognitive system? Okay, so ayan. So si Teacher Bing daw encourages her students to make the intended learning outcome. Ayan. So sabi niya, monitor now and then their own progress toward the intended learning outcome and act accordingly. Okay, so I can see letter B, try to read again, try to analyze. All right. So is it A, cognitive? So cognitive, it means you are utilizing your knowledge, you're using your knowledge. Self-system as well. Metacognitive system. Between cognitive and metacognitive system, dili ko sure, hehe. Sabi ni ma'am. Sabi niya, dili daw siya sure kung letter B ba. Okay, sige lang ma'am. Later on, we will know about this. Okay? So what do you think is the answer for this one? Okay, so I guess you are answering in your answer sheet. So I can see from Hinigaran, letter B. Okay, so I can also see here in the chat box, letter A, letter C. Okay, sige. So yeah, I guess someone got the correct answer. Very good. For number 21, the correct answer is letter C po. Okay, it's the metacognitive system. Okay, why? Next slide, ma'am. Because if we are talking about the metacognitive system, it means that we are referring to once the self system sees that the learning is important, it can be done, and has a positive learning feeling about the learning. So basically, the learning is passed to the metacognitive system. So the metacognitive system sets personal goals for learning. Okay? So yeah, personal goals for learning. Number 20, the correct answer is letter A. So makes decisions about what to do when problems are encountered and pushes yourself to complete a task with high energy. So students need to be taught specific strategies for becoming organized and for setting goals. Okay, very good. Next, let's proceed to number 22. All right, number 22. Teacher Dada's lesson was on what man can do to arrest climate change. So she made the students do the talking, the arguing, the synthesizing. She gave her lecturette after students have participated in the lively discussion. Which teaching approach did Teacher Dada employ? So this is very easy. Letter A, learner-centered approach. Letter B, activity-centered approach. Letter C, subject matter-centered approach. And for letter D, teacher-centered approach. Okay, so again, I would like to emphasize this one. She made the students do the talking, the arguing, and the synthesizing. So after the students discuss, after the students argue, after they synthesize, so that's the time that the teacher or Teacher Dada gave her lecture, no? It means the role of Teacher Dada is only to facilitate, okay? So you let your students discover the subject matter content, di ba? So which teaching, sabi dito, yung stem of the question natin, which teaching approach did Teacher Dada employ? Is it learner? Is it activity? Is it subject matter? Or is it teacher-centered approach? Okay, sige. So what do you think is your answer? So I can see from Ginigaran, they are showing the placards letter A. Okay, so here din sa chat box natin. So letter A, letter A. So very good. Tapos na sa board exam. Magtatapos sa board exam. The correct answer for this one, it's letter A. Very good. It's learner-centered approach. Kasi, bakit daw learner-centered? Kasi the role of the teacher is only to facilitate, and at the same time, si Teacher Dada, she let the students discover, she let the students discuss the topic. And then yung mga kulang, doon naman siya nag-lecture. So Teacher Dada is not anymore, what you call this, adhere to the traditional teaching, but rather, she is already the facilitator of learning na lang, not anymore spoon feeding the learners. Okay, so ayan, so it's learner centered approach. Okay, very good, it's letter A. Next, let's proceed to number 23. Okay, number 23. In this field study course, FS students are required to observe, analyze, and reflect on actual class proceeding. Which description of the pedagogical approach of K-12 as cited in the K-12 law is observed in the conduct of this FS course? Okay? So ayan, in this FS course, FS students are required to observe. Okay, so you are required to observe, you are required to analyze, you are required to reflect on actual class proceeding. So which description of the pedagogical approach of K-12, ano ba yung main goal ni K-12 right now? Especially in catering students. Okay? Especially, doon na, may clue na kayo. Especially in catering students. Okay? As cited in the K-12 law is observed in the conduct of this field study course. Is it A, developmentally appropriate, letter B, reflective, letter C, inclusive, or letter D, inquiry-based? Okay? So what's the role ba of K-12? Ayan. Especially in catering students. Okay, someone answered letter B, someone answered letter C. How about from Hinigaran? So I can see you're holding letter A. Okay? So, si Ma'am din na may paypay, you're holding letter D. Okay, sige. So let's try. Try to analyze. Okay? Try to analyze. Ayan. So, sige lang. Sige. Okay, so someone answered letter B, letter B, letter B. All right, sige. So again, we are talking here about the FS course or the field study. So you are really required, okay? You are really required to observe, at the same time analyze, okay? Analyze and reflect on actual class proceedings. So, sige, what do you think is the answer? So basically, we are talking here about inclusive, okay? It's letter C. Why inclusive? Because according to the law, inclusive education, it is actually the most effective way to give all children, let's say, a fair chance to go to school. What else? Learn and develop the skills they need to thrive. And in addition to that, if we are talking about inclusive education, it means that all children in the same classroom, in the same schools, it means that real learning opportunities for groups who have, let's say, traditionally been excluded, not only children with disabilities, but of course, children, speakers of minority languages too. Okay, yan po yung law natin sa K-12. Ayan. Okay, so very good. So some of you got the correct answer. All right, so ayan. Okay, next. Number 24. So for number 24, the subject matter is the ASEAN Qualifications Framework or the AQRF. So the ASEAN history teacher teams up with the economics teacher. So the professional education teacher for a thorough discussion of AQRF from the different perspective of other disciplines. Ayan, so your keyword here, different perspective of other disciplines. So different, di ba? So iba. So which describes the ASEAN history teacher's pedagogical approach. Is it A, integrated? Letter B, reflective? Letter C, constructivist? Or letter D, inquiry-based? Okay, so ayan. So what do you think is the correct answer for this one? Again, the subject matter or the topic is all about ASEAN Qualifications Framework or the AQRF. So the Asian history teachers teams up with the economics teacher So the professional education teacher for a thorough discussion of AQRF from the different perspective of other disciplines. So which describes now the Asian history teacher's pedagogical approach. So is it integrated? Is it reflective? Is it constructivist? Or is it inquiry-based? So basically not inquiry-based, not reflective as well. So what you have right now here is integrated and constructivist. So if you're going to weigh between constructivist and integrated, the best choice is actually letter A. Okay, very good. Yes. You got the right answer. No, it's letter A. It's integrated because the history teacher does not only focusing on one aspect, but rather he integrated other disciplines. Where in fact it's good naman, no? Yeah, it's very, let's say, useful, no? Useful in using this approach because you are you are discussing parang 3-in-1 ba, no? Parang 3-in-1. So your topic is all about history but you integrate other disciplines. So it means it will cover the a wide, no, it will provide a wide range of knowledge to the learners, okay, if you will use the integrated approach. Okay, very good. Next, let's proceed to number 25. Number 25, learning is an active process. So which one is an application of this principle? Again, learning is an active process. So which one is an application of this principle? Is it letter A? Let students learn the steps in opening a computer by making them follow steps. So do you think it negates what you call this? Learning is an active process. Letter B, group students for work or project. That way, project becomes less expensive. Letter C, teacher content from a multidisciplinary perspective. Or for letter D, avoid drills which are out of control. So are you sure? Letter C, teacher content from a multidisciplinary perspective. Active. Ano ba yung in-explain natin kanina sa active, okay? You let your students engage, di ba? So yun yung active, yun yung active na learning, no? Learning is an active process. It means that you are engaging your students, no, in the discussion. And sometimes when you say active learning, it will help promote, no, it will help promote higher order thinking skills such as applications of knowledge, such as analysis, and of course synthesis. And furthermore, if we're talking about active learning, it means that you engage your students in a deep, no, in a deep rather than surface learning, and at the same time you are enabling, no, you are enabling the students to apply and transfer knowledge better. So from these choices, what do you think is the correct answer for this one, wherein you really engage your students? For letter A, let the students learn the steps in opening a computer by making them follow the steps. Pwedeng pwede, di ba? For letter B, group students for work or project. That way, project becomes less expensive. Pwede naman, pero parang may kulang, di ba? For letter C, teacher content from a multidisciplinary perspective. Somehow, you are using, or you are talking here about approaches or approach. For letter D, avoid drills which are out of control. Parang medyo malayo sa learning is an active process natin, di ba? So basically, the correct answer for number 25, yes, you're right. It's letter A po. Okay, it's letter A. So you let the students learn the steps in opening a computer by making them follow the steps. And that is what? That is learning is an active process. Okay? So ayan. Next, let's proceed with number 26. Okay, number 26. The more senses that are involved, the more and the better the learning. Which practice is aligned with this principle? Again, the more senses that are involved, the more and the better the learning. So which practice is aligned with this principle? Sabi nila, the more senses involved, so basically the more learning that the students will learn or will gain. Letter A, teach using mostly verbal symbol. Letter B, employ cooperative learning. So when you employ cooperative learning, pwede naman yung mga senses. But basically for letter B, employ cooperative learning, somehow your main objective here or your main goal is to establish relationship with one another. Okay? So letter C, invite parents as resource speakers in class. And for letter D, bring students to field trips with consent rather of school and parents. So do you think this choice, this letter D will actually develop, no, or will use the different senses of the children or learners, no? So ayan, kasi the main step of our question is the more senses that are involved, the more and the better the learning. Yes, that's true. Okay. So what do you think is the correct answer? So allow me to check the chat box. So from Hinigaran, they are raising their placards, letter D. Okay. So for CPSU Kawayan, they're so busy in answering in their answer sheet. Same with CPSU Ilog. Okay. Same with CPSU Candoni. Sila ma'am, sila yung tatlo yung always present. Ayan. Sige. Okay, so allow me to check the chat box here. In our chat box naman, we have letter D, letter D, letter D. Okay, very good. It seems like you got the correct answer. Very good. The correct answer for number 26, it's letter D. Bring the students to field trips with consent of school and parents. Not only they will develop more senses, but at the same time, they will gain experience. Okay? They will gain experience as what the old adage says. Experience is the best teacher. Okay? So when they experience something, so basically they will really bring it inside the classroom. For example, pumunta kayo sa zoo and then yung topic mo is science and then about animals. So teacher, nung pumunta tayo sa zoo, ito yung nakita namin. May nakita kaming ahas, what else? Tiger, giraffe. So they can relate, no? They can relate sa lesson mo. Okay, very good. So bring students to field trips with consent of school and parents. Very good. Next, let's proceed to number 27. Number 27, a non-threatening atmosphere enhances learning. Which practice is an offshoot of this principle? Okay? So non-threatening atmosphere daw enhances learning. So which practice is an offshoot of this principle? No praising, no scolding, no bullying, no homework. Ayan. Sige. So what do you think is the answer? Ang bilis ni ma'am. Ni Ma'am Judy Ann. Ayan. So sige, what do you think is your answer? So it's very obvious naman talaga, no? It's pretty obvious. Lumabas ata to nung January. Yeah, yung January. Kasi I am collecting mga board exam questions sa mga classmates ko. Sabi ko, ano yung mga na-remember ninyo. So, ayan. Are you still good? Are you still okay? Humihinga
Yes,
pa
sir.
ba? Humihinga pa. Ayan. Okay. So, very good. For number 26, the correct answer po is letter D. Someone asked, what's the correct answer for number 26? Ayan. Humihinga pa para sa lisensya. Di ba? Ayan. So, very good. The correct answer for number 27, it's no bullying. Okay, so ayan, it's very obvious, no bullying. Okay, it's self-explanatory already. Okay, let's proceed with number 28. Okay, let's proceed with number 28. Emotion has the power to increase retention and learning. To apply this principle, teacher must blank. Again, emotion daw has the power to increase retention and learning. Yes, that's true. Kaya sa mga may jowa dyan, sabi mo muna, huwag mo muna akong i-break kasi nagpe-prepare ako for board exam. Okay, kung gusto mo na akong i-break, huwag muna after ng exam. Char, joke lang, bitter masyado si sir. Okay, so to apply this principle, teacher must blank daw. Letter A, spice class with his or her sense of humor. Letter B, make course difficult for students to remember and learn. Paano? Mahirap na nga. Sa tingin mo, ma-remember pa ng students, di ba? For letter C, touch students' emotion when he or she teaches. And for letter D, be emotional when he or she teaches. Parang laugh trip to nung be emotional. For instance, you are telling a story. So dapat with emotion talaga. Okay, so sige, what do you think is the answer? If you can still remember the 3 domains of learning, we have the cognitive, we have the psychomotor, we have the affective. And of course, that affective is really talking about the emotions. Okay? So how? Sabi dito, emotion has the power to increase retention and learning. So to apply this principle, teacher must blank. A, spice class with his or her sense of humor, make course difficult for students to remember and learn, touch students' emotion when he or she teaches, and be emotional when he or she teaches. Allow me to check the chat box. Okay, from Hinigaran, you are raising your placards, letter C. Si ma'am, hawak niya letter A. Okay, here in our chat box, letter C, letter C. Okay, very good. The correct answer for this one, it's letter C. Okay, so touch students' emotion when he or she teaches. Because again, emotion is what? Is under affective domain of learning. So basically, you should not only mold them academically, no, but also you need to mold their emotion as well. Ayan, for them really to master, to learn, and of course to increase the retention. Okay, ayan, very good. So it's letter C. Next, let's proceed to number 29. Okay, number 29. Learning is meaningful when it is connected to students' everyday life. So what is an application of this principle in teaching? All right. So again, learning is meaningful when it is connected to students' everyday life. So what is an application of this principle in teaching? Letter A, teacher asks the class to show application of what they learn to their daily life. Letter B, teacher makes everyday life the starter of his or her lesson. Letter C, teacher narrates true-to-life stories. And for letter D, teacher asks students to come up with clipping of Filipino life. Ayan, the answer is pretty obvious. Okay? So if you, if your comprehension is, let's say, parang nasa average already, so you can actually answer this question on the spot without really sasakit ang ulo ninyo. Okay? Ayan. So learning is a meaningful daw when it is connected to students' everyday life. So what is an application of this principle in teaching? What's your answer? So from Hinigaran, I can see you are raising your placards, letter A. So from Candoni, I guess they are using their answer sheet. From CPSU Ilog as well. Ayan. So, sige. So, here in our chat box, letter A, letter A, letter A. Okay, yes, very good. You got the correct answer. It's pretty obvious, no? It's the correct answer for this one. It's letter A. Teacher asks the class to show application of what they learn to their daily life. So, it means you are already bringing them into a real world phenomenon or into a real world scenario. Okay? And that's the best thing to do as a teacher. You should not only teach theories, principles, memorizing facts, understanding the subject matter, but of course, you need to let them apply their learnings. Okay? Ayan, very good. Next, number 30. Wait lang, ano yung may na akong ano. Hindi ko mahanap sino yun. Okay, number 30. An integrated teaching approach is far more effective than teaching isolated bits of information. What then should teacher avoid? Okay, again, an integrated teaching approach is far more effective than teaching isolated bits of information. What then should teacher avoid? Is it A? 29. Sorry, wala akong connection, sir. Okay lang, ma'am. Number 29, the correct answer is letter A po. Letter A for number 29. Alright, sige. So are you sure? An integrated daw teaching approach is far more effective than teaching isolated bits of information. What then should teacher avoid? Ano ba yung dapat i-avoid ni teacher? Are you sure? It's summarizing the lesson. Read again the ano. Read again the question. Letter A, teaching to the test. So it means like you will only teach kasi mag-exam ka. Okay? For instance, ngayon, yung ginagawa natin is I am explaining the theories, I am explaining the principles, the concepts. So you are willing to learn kasi mag-exam kayo, di ba? So letter B naman, knowledge utilization. Of course, you will really utilize your knowledge. Letter C, summarizing the lesson. It's very important, di ba? Summarizing the lesson, it's part. Because if you will not summarize the lesson, so baka lutang-lutang pa yung mga estudyante mo, di ba? So letter D naman, use of problem-solving method. Yes, that's true. It's part naman, di ba? So ayan, so what's your answer? So from Candoni, si ma'am, in the middle, she's raising letter A. From Hinigaran, si ma'am din, you're raising letter B. Yung tatlo is letter A. Okay. Here in our chat box, so they're answering letter A, letter A. Okay, very good. The correct answer for this one, it's letter A. Teaching to the test. Alright, bakit? Kasi mag-teach ka, kasi may exam lang kayo. You know what, class? The lessons or the things that you are learning here, let's say in the review center, you know what? It's not only for you to pass the board exam, okay? But also, it's a preparation for you para alam mo na kung paano gawin kung andyan ka na sa sa real world scenario. For instance, if the students misbehave, so anong approach ang gamitin mo? If the students nabo-board siya, anong strategy ang gagamitin mo? Alangan mag-open ka pa ng book. Ay, andun yung sa Principles of Teaching 1. Wait lang, hanapin ko muna sa page 100 at hanapin ko pa. Di ba? So it's a waste of time. So if you put this lesson into action, for sure, papasa ka sa board exam. No? You are not only memorizing facts, but of course, you are already preparing your future. Char, BDO yan. Yes, that's true. No? You are preparing, you are securing, no? Your future. Kasi saan ba tayo pupunta? Di ba? Diyan talaga sa pagtuturo. Di ba? You chose this course kasi we want to be with kids, we want to share our learnings, we want to share our experience. Okay? So basically, number 30, the correct answer is letter A. Okay? By the way, class, can we have a 2-minute break? I will kuha water lang. Would it be okay? If you wish to go to the CR, okay lang din. All right? So 2 minutes.
Sir.
Okay, so thank you so much. Sige.
Yes, sir.
Huwag na muna tapusin. Tulungan niyo siya ng module. Ako muna.
All right, so let's go back. Okay, so we'll continue. Thank you so much for that. So, okay. So again, for number 30, the correct answer is letter A. Now let's proceed with number 31. Okay. So for number 31, Teacher Jing proceeded to her lesson. Wait, I guess na sakat yung screen. Okay, wait lang. Nawala si Ma'am Thea. Okay, thank you so much, Ma'am. Okay, number 31. Teacher Jing proceeded to her lesson without stating the intended learning outcomes for the hour. She asked her students to work on seat work number 3, found in the math workbook, page 3 to 4. After 40 minutes, the students corrected their own answers as Teacher Jing dictated the answer. Was the development of the lesson in accordance with outcomes-based teaching and learning? Letter A, yes, because the students corrected their own work. Letter B, no, because the learning outcomes were not stated and so it was not clear what was supposed to be assessed. Letter C, no, the students were not shown how the answers were derived. And for letter D, yes, because the students corrected their own progress. So ayan, may mga teacher talaga, di ba? So ayan, you will answer page 3 to 4, yung activity number 1. And then after that, check your own paper. Number 1, letter A. Number 2, letter C. Number 3, letter D. So on and so forth, di ba? So we will eliminate letter A because the students corrected their own work. That's very vague. Same with letter D. We'll eliminate letter A and letter D. What we have here, it's letter B and letter C. Kasi pareho silang no, di ba? Letter C, no, the students were not shown how the answers were derived. Ano pa yung yung stem ng question natin? Was the development of the lesson in accordance with the outcomes-based teaching and learning? Okay, so outcome. So saan ba may outcome lang dyan? So the correct answer, yes, very good. You are raising the correct answer. It's letter B. Okay, no, because the learning outcomes were not stated and so it was not clear what was supposed to be assessed. Okay, so for number 31, the correct answer is letter B. Okay, very good. Magtatap na sa board exam. Ayan, manifesting, claim it, law of attraction. Okay. Number 32, if Teacher Jing developed lesson, the outcome-based teaching and learning way, what should she do? Okay, again, this number 32 question is connected with number 31. If Teacher Jing developed lesson, the OBTL way, what should she do? Letter A, make students understand what they are expected to know and able to do after the lesson. Letter B, make seat work as homework. Letter C, correct the seat work. And for letter D, make students arrive at the answers. Okay? So again, if Teacher Jing daw developed the lesson in the OBTL way, what should she do? Okay, so letter B, make seat work as homework. Parang hindi. Same with letter C, correct the seat work. So, like you will just correct lang yung seat work nila. For letter D naman, make students arrive at the answers without presenting ano ba yung dapat i-assess. So, the correct answer for this one, it's letter A. Okay, very good. Make students understand what they are expected to know and able to do after the lesson. Diba? Sinabi natin kanina, before you will begin with the lesson, make sure you present first the objectives or the learning outcomes to your students so that the students are aware about what you are assessing. And at the same time, they have a guide. Okay, they have a guide in understanding the subject matter contents. Okay, very good. Next, let's proceed to number 33. Number 33. In OBTL, or in the outcome-based teaching learning, upon which should my assessment be based? Okay, saan mo dapat i-base ang assessment mo? If you are listening, you can answer this question. This is very easy. Letter A, content. Letter B, intended learning outcome. Letter C, scope of the subject matter. Or letter D, in the teaching and learning activity. Okay, so ayan, in OBTL way daw. Upon which should my assessment be based? Content, intended learning outcomes, or the ILO, the scope of subject matter, or the teaching and learning activity. So I can see they are raising their placards, letter B. Same here in the chat box, they are chatting or they are inputting their answer, which is letter B. So the correct answer for this one, yes, you got it right. The correct answer for this one, it's letter B. It's the intended learning outcomes. Okay, very good. Next, let's proceed with number 34. Number 34, to obtain well thought out answers, which questioning behavior helps? Again, to obtain well thought out answers, which questioning behavior helps? Is it A, involving as many as possible? Letter B, asking open-ended questions. That's divergent, di ba? Letter C, asking non-directed question. Or letter D, allowing sufficient time. Again, to obtain well thought out answers. So, ibig sabihin, para mag-come up ka ng well thought out answers. So, ano yung gagawin mo? Is it like you will involve as many as possible? For instance, what is the approach that you are using? Is it effective? Did you assess? Did you evaluate? So ayan, madaming tanong, di ba? For letter B, asking open-ended questions. This is to, to utilize their horizon in understanding the concept. Okay, that's asking open-ended question. Asking non-directed question, of course, that's part. And for letter D, allowing sufficient time. So it means you are giving them enough time for them to think. All right. So what do you think is the answer for this one? So in our chat box, so letter D, letter D, letter D. For Hinigaran, letter D. For CPSU Candoni, letter D as well. Okay, very good. No, the correct answer for this one, it's letter D, allowing sufficient time. Okay, so you let them, like parang you will be giving them, let's say, mga 10 seconds to think, 5 seconds. You know what? In my class, because I am teaching oral communication in context, so basically, grade 11. So maraming mga oral recitation. So for example, pag may oral recitation kami, I will give them at least 10 seconds to think, and then after that, sabi na nila yung sagot nila. Okay, pag may oral recitation lang. Pero when it comes to sharing of ideas, so pwede on the spot, ganun. Okay, very good. So for number 34, the correct answer is letter D. All right, next. Let's proceed to number 35. Number 35, you get a partially correct answer. You say, yes, but a part needs improvement. How did you handle the response? Is it A, provided a corrective feedback? Letter B, provided an acceptance feedback. Sana all may acceptance chart. Letter C, gave appropriate praise. And for letter D, criticize students' response. Ang galing naman nila, sana all. Ang gagaling talaga ng mga CPSU. Lahat ng branches, mga magagaling. Grabe. Kanina ko pa inoobserbahan lang. Again, you get a partially correct answer. You say yes, but a part needs improvement. Ayan. So how did you handle this response? Provided a corrective feedback, provided an acceptance feedback, gave appropriate praise, and criticized students' response. Sige, so what do you think? I guess the others are answering in their answer sheet, which is very good kasi you are already practicing yung shading ninyo. Yung iba, yung mga walang answer sheet, ano na lang, sa clean paper na lang, and then later on, try to count your scores, okay? Basta, future teachers, practice your shading talaga. And of course, do not forget to shade kung anong set kayo. Kasi in the exam, meron niyang set A and set B. Pero sasabihin lang yan ni Proctor. Etong line, ito si si Ma'am Thea, set A, ito naman si Sir John, set B, ganon. Okay? At saka meron yan sa questionnaire ninyo, anong set kayo. So make sure yun talaga ang uunahin ninyong i-shade. Because in my case, nakalimutan ko sana i-shade kung anong set ako. And that's Prof Ed. And Prof Ed is 60%. Kung nakalimutan ko i-shade kung anong set ako, so ano yung labas? Siyempre, baksak. Okay? Babaksak talaga ako kasi hindi nila alam kung saan nila ipapasok, whether sa set A ba or sa set B. Ayan. Okay, so going back with our question number 35. So I can see si Ma'am, you are raising letter A. In Hinigaran, you are raising letter B and letter A. The correct answer for this one, it's letter A. Okay? So you provide a corrective feedback. Yes, but a part needs improvement. So it means that you are telling the truth naman for them to be able to improve. Okay? So what's the reason of receiving feedback? For improvement. Number 34, the correct answer is letter D. Okay? So sometimes, people are afraid to get a corrective feedback. Sabi nila, bakit ka mag-criticize sa akin? Sino ka ba? Di ba? So be open. All right? I am reminding you, future teachers, be open. Whenever someone will correct you, accept the fact. Okay? Accept the fact. Kasi sometimes, dahil sa masyadong mataas yung tingin natin sa sarili natin, we forget to to hear kung ano yung mga feedback ng mga ibang tao. Okay, ayan. Okay, very good. Next, let's proceed with number 36. Which practice does not or doesn't promote interaction or interaction? Again, which practice doesn't promote interaction? Letter A, soliciting students' questions. Letter B, rejecting students' answer outright. Letter C, rephrasing the question. And letter D, repeating and expanding on a student's answer. Again, which practice does not promote interaction? Letter A, soliciting students' questions. Letter B, rejecting students' answer outright. And for letter C, rephrasing the question. And letter D, repeating and expanding on a student's answer. So saan dyan? So it's very obvious, no? Yes, very good. The correct answer for this one, it's letter B. Rejecting students' answer right away, di ba? Like parang, what's the purpose of asking question to the students? You know what? Here's the process, class. Whenever you are inside the classroom already, and then you ask your students, try to understand all their answers, collect their answers, and then try mo i-connect yung kanilang mga answers. Para naman they will feel na you value their answer. Wag mong sabihin, ay mali yan, you're wrong. Okay? Ay, ano yan, wag mo nang i-share kasi parang hindi naman siya, hindi na, parang out of topic na. Kahit out of topic na, makinig ka pa rin sa student. And then after that, pwede mong sabihin, yes, your answer is good, but parang sabihin mo na, if you will analyze something like that, so on and so forth. Okay? Try to accept all their answers because there's a constellation of ideas across the universe, so walang ideas na mali. Because that's his or her understanding, di ba? So ayan. So again, for number 36, which practice does not promote interaction? It's letter B. Rejecting students' answer outright. Okay, next. Let's proceed with number 37. Number 37, which type of question will least promote interaction among students? Okay? Again, which type of question will least promote interaction among students? Letter A, divergent. Letter B, conceptual. Letter C, convergent. Or letter D, inference. Ayan. So, which type of question? So, this is knowledge, no? Knowledge-based to siya. Okay, so which type of question will least promote interaction among students? Is it divergent, conceptual, convergent, or inference? Okay, so very good. The correct answer for this one, it's convergent questions. Okay, very good. So what is convergent? Next slide, ma'am. So if we are talking about convergent questions, this is also referred to close-ended question. Okay, so close-ended question. So meaning that the instructor is looking for an anticipated response that requires little original thought on the student's part. So it means convergent question, you are only asking knowledge base. For example, kailan namatay si Rizal? Okay? So isang answer lang. Kailan ipinanganak si Rizal? So isang answer lang. Most you know what, most of the questions in general education, mga what you call this? Mga mga convergent question, no, sa Gen Ed. For instance, it is considered as indirect tax. So what's the answer? Excise tax. Which planet na walang moon? What's the answer? Venus. Something like that, di ba? So what mountain that will separate the Europe and Asia? What mountain? That's Ural Mountain. Okay? So only one answer. Okay, very good. Next, let's proceed with number 38. Okay, number 38. Learning Resource Audiovisual Educational Technology Center sponsors a seminar workshop for teachers and administrators on the use of the latest presenter application. So this fulfills which function? Is it A, Center of Resources? Letter B, Agent of Teaching. Letter C, Coordinating Agency. And letter D, Recreational Reading Center. Again, Learning Resource or Audiovisual Educational Technology Center sponsors a seminar workshop for teachers and administrators on the use of the latest presenter applications. So this fulfills which function? Letter A, Center of Resources. Letter B, Agent of Teaching. And letter C, Coordinating Agency. And letter D, Recreational Reading Center. So again, the focus of our question is on the learning resource. Okay, learning resource. So educational technology. So they will provide those seminar workshop for teachers and administrators. So what do you call this function? Is it Center of Resources, Agent of Teaching, Coordinating Agency, or Recreational Reading Center? For Hinigaran, I can see you are raising letter A. For Candoni, okay, you are raising letter A. Here in our chat box, allow me to check the chat box. So in our chat box, I can see you are, the answer is letter A. Yes, very good. The answer for this one, it's letter A. It's pretty obvious already, no? Center of Resources. So this Center of Resources, they are providing seminars. They are actually updating what's the trend, especially when it comes to technology. Lalo na ngayon, di ba? We are so in the middle of crisis and lahat ng transaction online, di ba? So wala nang face-to-face. Pagbayad sa PRC, online. Bayad sa NBI, online. Bayad dito, online, via GCash, via bank transfer, so on and so forth. Ayan. So for number 38, the correct answer is letter A. Okay, next. Let's proceed with number 39. Examine the bulletin board display. This bulletin board fulfills which primary purpose? So ito yung display sa bulletin board. Math madness. Are you a game? So anong klaseng anong klaseng type ng bulletin board fulfills its purpose? Is it A, instructional interactive? Letter B, informational? Letter C, motivational? Or letter D, decorative? With decoration, are you sure it's only informational? Try to analyze. Math madness. Are you a game? So it means like you are what? You are encouraging, no? Math madness. Are you a game? So if you are encouraging, so basically you are what? You are involving, okay? You let the students engage, no? So pag may engagement, ano yan siya? Is it instructional interactive? Is it informational? Is it motivational? Or is it decorative? For number 38, the correct answer is letter A. Okay, so yeah. For number 39, the correct answer is still, it's letter A. Okay, so it's, ang saya ng mga CPSU kawayan, baka nakatama sila. It's instructional interactive. Okay, kasi Math Madness, are you a game? Okay, so it means you are encouraging the students, you are actually, what you call this? Yeah, convincing them to participate. Okay, are you a game? So ayan, meron yan sa campus namin when I was in college. Okay, so mga Math Madness, ayan. So it's instructional interactive. Okay, so ayan, next. Let's proceed with number 40. Number 40. Examine the bulletin board display. This bulletin board fulfills which primary purpose? Best work in the world. Okay? Again, examine the bulletin board display. The bulletin board fulfills which primary purpose? Best work in the world. Okay, is it instructional interactive? So basically, alisin na, no? Alisin na si instructional interactive. Letter B naman, informational. Pwede naman si informational kasi parang you are giving information na ito yung best work, di ba? Motivational. Pwede si motivational, di ba? Parang you are motivating. Why not? I will try my best to do this work or to do other work para naman ma-post yung work ko, di ba? Yes, pwede si motivational. Si letter D, decorative, para medyo malayo. So basically, we will remove letter A, instructional interactive, and letter D, decorative. So what we have right now here, it's only informational and motivational. So try to weigh. Let's try to weigh them. Okay? Like I said, for informational, it would give you information na ito ang best work in the world. Okay? But, if you are going to dig deeper, it's somehow motivational. Okay? It's letter C, motivational. Okay? Because you are motivating. You are displaying, at the same time, you are motivating the learners, no? Best work in the world. And at the same time, you will really convince them to do more than, no? Kung anong ginagawa nila. Para somehow, they will realize, display pala yung mga work ganito. So why not? Try ko din. So it's part of motivating the learners. Alright? So basically, number 40, the correct answer, it's letter C. For number 39, the correct answer po, it's letter A. Okay? Again, for number 39, the correct answer, it's letter A. Okay, very good. Next, let's proceed with number 41. Okay, number 41. In order for the students to clearly understand the structure and the content of the teacher's presentation, the teacher should have blank. Again, in order for the students to clearly understand the structure and content of, ang galing, content of the teacher's presentation, the teacher should have blank. Is it A, a summary? Letter B, several years of experience as a presenter? Letter C, a short conclusion, or letter D, a short preview. Okay? So, ayan. So, what do you think is the answer for this one? So, ayan, ang galing. Grabe, ang galing talaga nila, no? So, yan. Sige. So, wag nang patagalin pa. Very good. The correct answer for this one, it's letter D. It's a short preview. Okay? So the students will have an idea about the entire periphery of the lesson. Okay? Para aware naman sila kung paano ba yung flow ng lesson ninyo or paano ba yung structure. So therefore, teacher should have a short preview of the lesson. Okay? Very good. Next, let's proceed with number 42. Number 42. This is something to do with EdTech or educational technology. So, yeah, number 42. Miss Riel is very excited to do her presentation about the effects of global warming to grade 5 students. So, she wants to make sure that children will be interested. While preparing her slides, she should blank. Is it A, put animation and slide transition on each slide to sustain attention? Pwede naman, di ba? Letter B, include pictures and a short video clip that captures the effects of global warming. Letter C, use a different slide design with nature images for each slide to sustain interest. And for letter D, put one paragraph per slide to emphasize the facts about global warming. Okay? So, sige, what do you think is the answer for this one? So, as a future teachers, dapat alam nyo para ma-sustain yung interest ng mga bata ninyo. Kasi pag boring na teacher kayo, so wala, matutulog ang mga bata ninyo sa klase. Ayan, so again, she wants to make sure that the slide or that the children will be interested. So while preparing her slide, she should blank. Is it A, put animation and slide transition. So for every slide, may mga animation, may lumilipad na bird, may mga ano ba yung mga animation, yung mga zoom out, zoom in, gano'n. Letter B, include pictures and a short video clip. Yes, pwede, di ba? That captures the effect of global warming. Because if you will input pictures and video, so ayan, it will give them the idea. And at the same time, help them visualize more. Letter C, use different slide design with nature. So iba-iba yung mga design mo for each slide. And for letter D, put one paragraph per slide to emphasize the facts about global warming. Okay, so can you please raise your placards? Ayan, so from Candoni, letter B. From Hinigaran, letter B. Okay, here in our chat box. Okay, in our chat box, letter B, be very good. The correct answer for this one, it's letter B. It's pretty obvious already, no? So you will include pictures and a short video, a clip that captures the effects of global warming in such a way the students or the learners will be able to understand better. Okay, so ayan. Next, let's proceed with number 43. Okay, number 43. Mrs. Gores is implementing a technology integration activity for fourth graders to work on multiplication on two-digit numbers. Which of the following illustrates the interaction of the teacher's technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge, or the TPK, okay? Letter A, ang galing. Sino yan? Sir Raymond, magtatap si Sir Raymond. Letter A, the teacher checks the math standards for fourth grades, and based on these standards, let her student answer multiplication exercises on the blackboard. Letter B, the teacher makes the children watch a video that she downloaded from YouTube and asks the children to summarize it. Like it will just present the video. Letter C, the teacher evaluates math application on multiplication, matches them with her students' skill level, demonstrates how the apps are used, and allows her students to explore and work on the apps. Pwede, very positive. Letter D, the teacher makes the children play whatever math apps they find in the internet and let them share in class about their experience. Okay, so ayan, so we're talking here about the TPK, or the technological pedagogical knowledge. So if we're talking about TPK, you are describing the relationships and interaction between technological tools. Okay, so ayan, yes, very good. So from Hinigaran, you are raising letter C. From Candoni, letter C as well. Okay, so here in our chat box, letter C, yes, very good. The correct answer for this one, it's letter C. It's very obvious naman. Parang siya lang yung, siya lang yung magandang, aside from magandang pakinggan, positive, at the same time, letter C is susceptible with our stem of the question, no? The teacher evaluates math apps and multiplication, matches them with their students' skill level, demonstrates how the apps are used, and allows her students to explore and works on the apps. Okay, very good. So what is TPK, or the technological pedagogical knowledge? Please take note, future teachers, kasi lumabas to during sa time namin. Okay? So TPK, next slide, ma'am. Thank you so much. Okay, so TPK, it describes the relationships and interactions Okay? Basta may makita kayong relationship, interactions between technological tools, the correct answer there is TPK, no? While pedagogical content knowledge or the PCK, it describes naman the same between pedagogical practices, and specific learning objectives. Finally, technological content knowledge or the TCK, it describes relationship and intersections among technologies and learning objectives. So these triangulated areas then constitute TPACT, which considers the relationships among all three areas and acknowledges that educators are acting within this complex space. All right. So next, ma'am. So we have also as well the CK or the content knowledge. So for the content knowledge, ayan, of course, subject matter. Okay. So the CK owns knowledge of the subject matter, includes concept, theories. All right. CK may differ, or the CK that each class imparts to its students will differ. Okay. Next slide, ma'am. The PK naman, or the pedagogical knowledge, your keyword for pedagogical knowledge is practices, processes, methods regarding teaching and learning. Okay? Pedagogy. Your practices, the methods, the technique. Okay? That's pedagogy. Next naman, for technological knowledge, ability to use various technologies. Basta may mga technological tools, so on and so forth. The correct answer is technological knowledge. I hope you're able to write down some salient points, okay, about TPAC. All right, next, let's proceed with number 44. Number 44. Itong tanong is paulit-ulit na lang nilalabas ni PRC. Sa time namin, sa time nung January, nung March. So ayan, lumabas talaga siya. So MOOCs or the massive open online course are open because, so if meron na kayong MOOCs, that's good. Pero if wala pa, try to look online. I took this MOOC or the massive open online course when I was in second year college, no? Meron akong certificate. And if you will apply those sa DepEd, so kasama siya, no, sa pag ano ng points. Ayan. So MOOCs are open because letter A, all courses are offered for free. Letter B, all courses can be accessed by anyone, anywhere, as long as they are connected to the internet. Number 43, the correct answer is letter C. Okay. So 44, letter C, openness to ideas is a strict requirement. And for letter D, no one can avail of them only during the opening of a semester. Okay? It's pretty obvious naman, no? The correct answer for this one, it's letter B. So if we're talking about MOOCs, courses can be accessed by anyone on the internet. Di ba? Anyone on the internet. Ayan. As long as they are connected. Okay? Very good. Thank you so much. Next slide, ma'am. Okay. Number 45. Ordinary people consider curriculum as blank. Again, curriculum is part of FS3 if I'm not mistaken. Number 1, a list of subjects. Number 2, courses to complete. And number 3, subjects to undertake. Or just ordinary people, okay? Is it A, 1 only? Letter B, 2 only. Letter C, 3 only. Letter D, 1, 2, and 3. All right, so ordinary people consider curriculum as what? Okay, ang gagaling talaga ng mga CPSU. Siguro maraming magtatap dito, no? Manifesting. Maraming magtatap and of course, lahat kayo papasa, di ba? Amen. Claim it already. Manifesting law of attraction. Okay, so ayan, very good. I can see you're raising letter D from Hinigaran. From Candoni, letter D. In our chat box, letter D as well. Okay, very good. The correct answer for this one, it's letter D. It's a list of subjects, courses to complete, and the subjects to undertake. Okay, very good. Next, number 46. When curriculum is viewed as a process, what should the teacher consider primarily in designing his or her lesson? Okay. Letter A, different modes of assessments. Letter B, various methods and strategies. Letter C, outcomes-based learning objectives. And letter D, national competency-based competencies. All right? What should the teacher primarily in designing his or her lesson? Yung iba gaya-gaya sa chat box, okay? So do you think the various methods and strategies is your primary a role in designing your lesson? So think, read again the question. Okay? When curriculum is viewed as a process, what should the teacher consider primarily in designing his or her lesson? For those who answered B, you can still change your answer. I will give you chance. No? Sana all my second chance. Chart. Letter A, different modes of assessments. Letter B, various methods and strategies. Letter C, outcomes-based learning objectives. Or letter D, national competency-based competencies. Okay, so from Hinigaran, I can see na someone answered letter C. Okay. Letter C as well. All right. So letter B. Okay, from Hinigaran, letter B. Someone answered here letter. Okay, letter B. Sige. Okay, so letter C. All right, very good. From Candoni, letter C. Very good. The correct answer for this one, it's the outcomes-based learning objectives. Okay? So it's letter C. And that's your primary goal, no? Primary goal whenever you are, what you call this? Whenever you will present a lesson, di ba? Ano yung first part sa lesson plan natin, di ba? It's objectives. Okay? The learning objectives. Ayan. So objectives, the reason why we have objectives because it will serve as our compass or it will serve as our guide. All right, all throughout our teaching and learning process. Number 45, the correct answer is letter D. Okay? Ayan. So number 46, the correct answer is letter C. Next, let's proceed with number 47. Number 47. Which of the following processes usually comes first in developing curriculum? Okay, so ayan, parang same lang sa ano, number 46, di ba? Ang galing ni Sir Raymond. Letter A, selection of educational content. Letter B, evaluating educational experiences. Letter C, identifying learning goals and objectives. Letter D, organization of learning experiences. All right. Sige, what do you think is the answer? Again, which of the following processes usually comes first in developing curriculum? Letter A, selection of educational content. Letter B, evaluating educational experiences. Letter C, identifying learning goals and objectives. And letter D, organization of learning experiences. Ay, grabe. Grabe, ang from Hinigaran, straight talaga sila. Sure na sure talaga. sure na, na-shock ako. Sure na talaga. Okay, very good. Lahat talaga sila. Kanina iba-iba yung sagot. Ngayon, nagkasundo na sila. Sana all nagkasundo. Okay, very good. It's letter C po. Identifying learning goals and objectives. Yan talaga, no? Yung unang-una. If you are developing the curriculum. Okay, very good. Next, number 48. Okay, number 48. All these questions should be answered by curriculum except. Okay, again, all these questions should be answered by curriculum except. Is it A, what subjects are important? Letter B, who will benefit from a well-designed learning experience? And letter C, what outcomes should be achieved? Letter D, what qualifications should teachers have? Curriculum curriculum. Except, ano yung hindi kabilang sa curriculum? Okay, ano yung hindi kabilang? What subjects? Di ba sabi nyo kanina, ordinary people define curriculum as list of subjects. So kasama siya, di ba? Letter B naman, who will benefit from a well-designed learning experience? Kasamang-kasama. Letter C, what outcomes? Di ba? Assessment, part. Letter E, what qualifications should teachers have? Sige, when you talk about qualification, is it still cover sa curriculum? Ayan naman sila from Hinigaran. Okay, sige. So they are answering letter D. From Candoni, si Ma'am. Ba't mag-isa na lang si Ma'am dyan? Matirang matibay ba? Survival of the fittest at sa Candoni. Si Ma'am na lang mag-isa. Okay, sige. Very good. Okay, very good. It seems like napasa sa board exam. Very good. The correct answer is letter B. Ayan, grabe. Ang galing ng mga CPSU. Congrats in advance. I'm so excited to see your name in the list of top notchers and in the list of passers, di ba? Hopefully, no, top notchers talaga yung iyan natin. Magta-top sa board exam. Magta-top pa sa board exam? Magta-top ba?
Yes, sir.
Yes naman. Okay, that's the spirit, di ba? Wag lang aim ng makapasa lang. Dapat magta-top talaga. Yun dapat yung aim natin, di ba? Ayan, okay, next. Let's proceed. Number 49. Number 49, these foundations show the chronological development of curriculum, mostly using a timeline. Ayan. So, chronological, ha? Chronological. So, chronological, alam niyo na anong sagot. Tapos, may timeline pa na keyword. Is it A, historical foundations? Letter B, legal foundations? Letter C, philosophical foundations? Or letter D, psychological foundations? Again, these foundations show the chronological development of curriculum, mostly using a timeline. Letter A, historical foundations. Letter B, legal. Letter C, philosophical. Letter D, psychological. Okay, ayan, very good. Yes, that's true. All right, so ayan. The correct answer for number 49, it's letter A. Very good. It's historical foundations. Kasi may timeline. Okay? Yan yung keyword natin. Timeline, tapos chronological. Because when you talk or when you discuss history, it should be chronological. Okay? Yan. For example, unang sumakop is mga Espanyol, followed by the Americans, then by the Japanese. Okay? Ayan. So, it's historical. Okay? Next slide, ma'am. So, again, for number 49, the correct answer, it's letter A. So, ito yung mga keywords ninyo. Historical foundations, your keyword is timeline. Legal foundation, your keyword is laws. Philosophical foundation, your keyword is driving purpose of education. Psychological foundation, your keyword is principles of psychology that are relevant to learning and teaching. Okay, very good. Next, number 50. A barangay official suggested that fishing and marine life be included in the barangay public school so that learners will have a background on the primary livelihood in their area. So this is based on what curriculum design model. Okay? So again, a barangay official suggested that fishing and marine life be included in the barangay public school so that learners will have a background on the primary livelihood in their area. So this is based on what curriculum design model. So ayan, very common, di ba? I mean, very obvious. So when you talk about primary livelihood, so I forgot to edit the answer, but the answer is career, no? It's career centered. It's letter D, not letter C, ha? Because we are talking about here livelihood, primary livelihood in their area. So basically, it's career centered. All right? So ayan. Next, number 51. Number 51. The best possible way to measure the influence of heredity is by blank. Again, the best possible way to measure the influence of heredity. So sa genes, no? Ayan. Hereditary is by, is it A, keeping the environment constant? Letter B, ignoring the environment. Letter C, studying only fraternal twins or normal capability. And letter D, studying only identical twins of normal capability. So, sige. Is it like keeping the environment constant? So, do you think it's letter A? Letter B naman, it's ignoring the environment. Letter C, studying only fraternal twins or normal capability. Or letter D, studying only identical twins of normal capability. A, dili ko sure. Sige. The correct answer for this one, it's letter C. Okay? Why letter C? What's the rationalization? According to research, or next slide, ma'am, or current research shows that heredity and environment interact on person's development. So therefore, certain specific traits are inherited. But whether an individual reaches his or her potential capacity, it depends on early stimulation and continued positive experiences in a friendly, reinforcing environment. Okay, so wait lang, may nag-annotate. Okay, wait lang. May nag-annotate. Ma'am Thea, can you please remove? Okay, sige po. Ako na lang. Cleared all drawings. Ayan. Okay, so yan. There you go. Okay, so again, for number 51, the correct answer here is letter C. Studying only fraternal twins of normal capability. Okay, next. Let's proceed with number 52. Number 52, excessive verbalism on a teacher's part may create I'm really sorry, may create a psychological barrier to learning, particularly for blank. Is it A, hyperactive children? Letter B, disadvantaged learners? Letter C, gifted children? Letter D, physically handicapped students? Excessive, excessive verbalism. Because sometimes excessive verbal instruction can become confusing, di ba? So ayan, excessive verbalism. So, kanino may create a psychological barrier daw? Is it sa mga hyperactive children, especially sa mga ADHD, mga ganyan? Letter B, disadvantaged learners, yung mga medyo mahina, di ba? Medyo mahina. Letter C naman for gifted children, and for letter D, physically handicapped students. So, psychological barrier has nothing to do with physically handicapped students, di ba? So, what do you think is the answer? So, for Hinigaran, they are showing their placards. Letter C, here in our chat box. Letter B, okay. Sir Raymond, letter B. Letter A, letter B. Sige, mix na, no? For Candoni, letter C. Okay, gifted children. So the correct answer for this one, it's actually letter B. It's for the disadvantaged learners. Bakit? Here's the ratio. Next slide, ma'am. According to research, excessive verbal instructions can become confusing and tedious, especially for children who do not understand the vocabulary used by the teacher when giving directions and explanations. Such students tune out the teacher who talks too much. Okay? Kasi kaya nga, excessive verbal instruction is actually creating a psychological barrier to disadvantaged learners sa mga mahihina na bata, di ba? For example, you will use the vocabulary, let's say, frivolous. So, he is so frivolous. So, what is frivolous? Parang worthless, di ba? So, instead of using worthless rather, use the word frivolous. What else? Let's say, when you say, and the background noise is very cacophonous. So what do you mean by cacophonous? So it means like parang loud, unpleasant. So yung mga mahihina, of course, they will understand what is cacophonous, di ba? So parang arte naman ni ma'am, cacophonous, ayan. Okay, very good. The correct answer is letter B. Okay, next, number 53. Number 53, knowledge that children differ in their capacity to learn has led to the continued development of tools for testing the child's. Is it A, special aptitudes? Letter B, musical ability? Letter C, motor skills? Or letter D, clerical ability? Again, number 53, knowledge that children differ in their capacity to learn has led to the continued development of tools for testing the child's blank. Is it A, special aptitudes? Letter B, musical ability? Letter C, motor skills? Or letter D, clerical ability? Di ba meron yan sa mga guidance? Ano ba yung binibigay ng mga guidance bago pa? For example, newly grad from grade 6. Ano yung binibigay ng mga guidance? May mga tests, may mga series of tests. So ano yung tawag doon? Development of tools for testing the child's. So yes, very good. It's special aptitudes. Very good. It's letter A. Because accordingly, aptitude testing has been refined for many years. Ayan, special aptitudes test. Okay, very good. Next, number 54. Okay, I will drink water first. All right, so let's proceed. Number 54. Number 54, those who favor open education support blank. Again, those who favor open education. When you say open education, it is student self-direction is emphasized. Okay, as well as you are talking more about their experiences. Okay, so ayan. So those who favor open education support blank. Is it A, rigid time structuring and frequent evaluation? Letter B, responsible for student self-direction. Letter C, an emphasis on success rather than failure. And for letter D naman, B and C. So it means responsible student self-direction and an emphasis on success rather than failure. Okay? So ayan. So what do you think is the correct answer for this one? So when you talk about open education, so the educational movement is actually founded on openness. Okay, so with connection with other educational movements such as what you call that, critical pedagogy, educational stance, something like that. No. So what's your answer? So here in Hinigaran, okay, si Sir letter B, si Ma'am din letter D. So iba-iba. From Candoni, letter D. Sige. So here in our chat box, okay, mostly answered letter D, letter D, letter D. Sige. Okay, very good. The correct answer for this one, it's letter. Answer reveal. Very good. It's letter D. Ayan, it's letter D. It's the combination of letter B and C. Responsible, student self-direction, and an emphasis on success rather than failure. Okay, because next slide, ma'am. Thank you so much. Because open education, again, it is a student self-direction is emphasized as well as constant success experiences. So what are considered reinforcement for the individual. Okay, next, number 55. Number 55. A student with social adjustment problems demonstrate all of the following except. Again, a student with social adjustment problems demonstrates all of the following except. Is it A, isolation and hyperactivity? Letter B, anxiety or dependency? Letter C, withdrawal from others? Letter D, feelings of depression. Okay? So lahat yan sila may social adjustment. Yung parang takot sila, no? Takot sila makipag-socialize. So ano yung mga adjustment, no? Adjustment problems. Si anxiety or dependency, si letter B, parang ano din naman siya, di ba? Like parang part, no? Si letter C naman, withdrawal from others, of course. Letter D, feelings of depression, pwede naman, di ba? So ayan. Actually, all of them are correct. Yeah. All of the choices are correct. But what do you think is the umbrella of these choices, no? What do you think is the umbrella? Kung baka may isang umbrella, ano yung tatlong choices na yan, ano na, parang branches ng umbrella. Okay? So, ayan. What do you think is the answer for Hinigaran? Letter C, letter B. For Candoni, letter C. Here in our chat box, letter D. Oy, may nag-answer letter A. Okay, letter C. Letter A. Okay, very good. The correct answer for this one, it's letter A. Very good. It's nakahawak pa si Raymond. It's letter A. It's isolation and hyperactivity. Bakit? Next slide, ma'am. Because accordingly, a student with problems in social adjustment will demonstrate all of these behaviors except the combination of isolation and the hyperactivity. That's why the correct answer is letter A. Okay, very good. Next, Let's proceed with number 56. Okay, number 56, nabubulol na. According to law, a program for a handicapped child must specify all of the following except. Ayan naman si except. So again, according to law, a program for 55 po, the correct answer is letter A. According to law, a program for a handicapped child must specify all of the following except. Is it A, the special services to be provided? Letter B, the length of the test given. Letter C, the projected date for beginning individualized instruction and the duration of the special services. And for letter D, individualized objectives. Okay, so ayan, what do you think? Klarong-klaro yan, klarong-klaro. Klarong-klaro, no? According to law, a program for handicapped child must specify all of the following. The special services to be provided included the length of the test given. Are you sure? Like parang how are you going to measure, no? About sa length of test given, no? Especially for a handicapped child. Parang hindi siya inclined with our stem of the question. Letter C, the projected date for beginning individualized instruction and the duration of the special services. Yes, that's true. Pwede. Letter D, individualized objectives. Of course, di ba? So the correct answer for this one, it's letter B. Okay? Very traditional siya. The length of the test given. Bakit? Next slide, ma'am. Because a program for handicapped children must be defined clearly, but the teacher has leeway when working within its guidelines. Okay? Ayan, very good. Next, let's proceed to number 57. Okay, number 57. To improve their athletic performance, a coach appeals to her students' capacity for self-motivation. Which of the following motivation would not aid team performance? Okay, so again, we are talking here about team performance. So analyze the choices. Letter A, curiosity about the plays that others' team developed. Okay, my team. Letter B, a desire for affiliation with team members. My team then. Letter C, the use of goal setting in developing strength and skills. Walang team, pero of course, basically it talks about what? Motivation, di ba? Letter D naman, the desire for independence in decision making. So from these choices present, or given rather, so it is easy for you to identify the correct answer. So the correct answer is letter D, independent. So it would not aid team performance, but rather kanya-kanya, di ba? Self. So parang sa sarili mo lang. The desire for independence in decision making. Okay, next slide, ma'am. Because in our rationalization, the player who emphasizes independent behavior may not be a good team player. Ano na ba yung mga sports that requires team, di ba? Volleyball, basketball, soccer, futsal, okay, di ba? Yan yung mga sepak takraw, yan, mga team sport yan. Okay, very good. Next, let's proceed with number 58. 58. Students with secondary reading problems have normal capacity to read, but are non-readers because of blank. Again, students with secondary reading problems, okay, have normal capacity to read, but are non-readers because of blank. Ano yung cause? Is it A, auditory problems? Letter B, congenital effects? Letter C, visual acuity impairment? Or letter D, environment or emotional factors? Secondary, secondary reading problems have normal capacity to read. So what are the things you need to consider? Mga secondary factors. Auditory, are you sure it's secondary? No. Congenital, no. Visual acuity, no. So the correct answer for this one, it's letter D. No, it's the environment or Emotional factors. It's letter D. Okay, what's the rationalization for this one? Next slide, ma'am. So accordingly, any number of environmental factors can be in effect, block a child's reading development and lead him to associate reading with failure. So it's really the environmental factors because according to psychology, 30, no? 30% of the environment will contribute to the development of the learner or development of the child. Okay, 70-30. 70% that's genes rather, and 30% that's environment. Okay? Ayan. All right, next, number 59. Number 59. In the long run, effective classroom management is best achieved through the use of blank. Again, in the long run, effective classroom management is best achieved through the use of blank. Is it A, fewer rules that are enforced? Letter B, rules with consequences that students accept. Letter C, strategies for eliminating distractions. Letter D, pupil input to make rules and consequences. Galing. And for letter D, all of the above. Okay, so actually, in the actual board examination, kay letter E, that's none of the above yan, no? Pero here's natin all of the above. Sige. So, what do you think is the answer? Okay, very good. Parang galing talaga ng mga taga-CPSU. Oh. Kahit anong branches, wait lang, I think there's some background noise. Kahit anong branches, grabe, ang galing talaga nila. Okay, very good. For number 59, the correct answer here, it's letter E. It's all of the above. Bakit? Okay, so here's the rationalization. So pupil-teacher agreement and input regarding rules and their enforcement are essential for classroom management. Ayan, okay, very good. Next, let's proceed to, to number 60. Number 60. The knowledge explosion has led to crowding more and more information into curriculum, has led to crowding more and more information into curriculum courses. A likely result is that blank. Okay? Letter A, the textbook will no longer be the main instructional medium in many classes. Letter B, the child may spend more time in school. Letter C, the teacher may have to rely more on the use of multimedia. Letter D, the teacher will no longer have time to evaluate students. It negates negativity, di ba? Letter A, all of the above except D may occur. Very obvious. The answer is pretty obvious. So yeah, what do you think is the answer for this one? Okay, so I can see in the chat box. So they are giving me letter E, letter E. Okay, letter E. Okay, so for Hinigaran, they are signaling their hands. 5, so it means letter E. Kasi wala ata sila letter E sa kanilang placards. If not mistaken. Okay. So ayan, very good. The correct answer for this one, it's letter E. All right, so very good. It's letter E. All of the above except D may occur. What's the rationalization? The ratio is that no textbook can contain all the information necessary for keeping the curriculum up to date. So therefore, multimedia materials can help relieve this pressure, especially if children have to spend more time in school. And again, for your information, future teachers, evaluation will always be important. Again, evaluation will always be important because through evaluation, you will be able to critique, you will be able to assess your learners or your students. Okay, very good. Next, number 61. During the learning process, the teacher has more control over. Again, during the learning process, the teacher has must control over. Is it A, the learners? If I'm not mistaken, lumabas na to sa pre-board ninyo last time. If you can still remember, ay nagbigay na ako ng ration nito. Letter B, the learning process. Letter C, the learning environment. Letter D, the behavior of the learners. If you can still remember, no? So maybe you will get the correct answer. During the the learning process, the teacher has most control over the learners, the learning process, the learning environment, or the behavior of the learners. Sige. Wait lang. Ayan. So what do you think is the answer for this one? Okay, so in our chat box, they are giving me letter C, letter D. Okay, sige. How about for Hinigaran? Letter D. Letter C, the learning environment. Okay, mixed. All right, very good. For information, the correct answer for this one, it's letter C. Okay? It's the learning environment. Bakit? Okay, what's the rationalization? It says here, the teacher can quickly modify the learning environment as well as use a variety of orientation techniques. So therefore, when it comes to modification of the habits, skills, and attitudes of individual learners takes much longer to accomplish because you will really need to understand each learner. Okay, so that's why the teacher has most control when it comes to learning environment. So the correct answer is letter C. Okay, very good. Next, number 62. Which of the following conditions does not contribute to a climate psychologically suited to learning? Again, which of the following conditions does not contribute to a climate psychologically suited to learning? Is it A, the teacher acts like a real person? Of course, kailangan mo talaga mag-act as a real person kasi dili ka robot, di ba? Letter B, the teacher makes all the decisions about students' learning activities. So si teacher na po ang powerful, di ba? Unsa man si student, unsay role ni student? Walay role si students, okay? Letter C, the teacher accepts students as they are. Mapagwapa, mapagwapo, mapapangit, so mag-accept si teacher, di ba? Yan, letter D, the teacher shows trust in students' decision. Okay, does not contribute to a climate psychologically suited to learning. So very good. So for Candoni, they are raising letter B, si Ma'am pala. For Hinigaran, letter B food. Okay, so okay, in our chat box, letter B as well. Very good. The correct answer for this one, it's letter B. So it's the teacher makes all of the following about, make all of the decisions about students' learning activities. Kasi sabi dito, based on the laws of learning, an effective learning climate is one in which pupils are encouraged to make daily decisions and choices as they learn the skills of problem solving. So basically, when the teacher makes all the decisions, pupils miss opportunities to initiate learning activities and to evaluate their personal progress. Okay? So ayan. Next, anong number na tayo? Number 63. Okay, sige. 63 na ba? Tapos na hanggang 65. Okay, 63. Para you have time to lunch din kasi may class kayo 1. 63. During class discussion, a teacher responds with prompting remarks. Select the comments that would not facilitate further discussion by the pupil to whom it is addressed. All right. Letter A, can you give me an example? Letter B, is that what you mean? Letter C, can't you do better than that? So it means you are questioning, di ba? Napakaano naman ni teacher. Yan lang, parang gusto mong imply, yan lang talaga yung kaya mo. Something like that, di ba? Oh, teacher, ito lang yung kaya ko. Bakit ikaw? Ano ba yung kaya mo? Char, ganon. Letter D, do you have any ideas about this problem? Okay, so very good. So it seems like all of you got the correct answer. The correct answer for this one, it's letter C. Okay? So it really negates negative impact to the student. Okay? So ayan, so can't you do better than that? So it's letter C. Okay? Ma'am Thea, are you still there? Okay, baka nawala to si Ma'am Thea, baka Again, for number 63, the correct answer it's letter 62. The correct answer is letter B. Okay, 63, it's letter C. Bakit? Next slide, ma'am. Thank you so much. Such statements, no? Accordingly, based on research, such statements by the teacher could cause some anxiety among student respondents. So it certainly would not encourage a pupil's continuance in the presentation of an idea. Pag sinabi mo, yan lang ba yung kaya mo? Diba? So can't you do better than that? So something like that. Okay? So yeah, next, let's proceed with number 64. Okay, next slide, ma'am. Thank you so much. Number 64. Okay, 64. Which of the following does not represent a teacher's contribution to the emotional environment of the classroom? Again, we are talking here about emotional. Okay, grabe ang bilis ni Sir Raymond. Sir Raymond, yabang ko yung name mo, ha? Ayan, letter A, a student or strident compelling voice. Lumabas na to nung pre-board ninyo. Letter B, a sustained sense of expectation where student achievement is concerned. Letter D, a well-written lesson plan. Letter C pala yun. Letter D, a sense of humor in a tense situation. So again, which of the following does not represent a teacher's contribution to the emotional environment of the classroom? Okay, wag namang patumpik-tumpik pa. Grabe yung mga hinigaran. Oh, state lang sila. Letter C. From Candoni, letter C, parang quiz bilang, no? Okay, very good. The correct answer for this one, it's letter C, a well-written lesson plan. Okay, yan, letter C. Because the emotional environment of the classroom can be profoundly affected by a teacher's voice, sense of humor, pacing of information, and the sense of confidence, no? Or confidence he or she exhibits towards each student. Okay, very good. Next. Okay, number 65. Alright, so dapat tama na kayo dito, ha? Number 65. Kasi kung tama kayo dito, ibig sabihin, papasa kayo sa board exam. Ayan, pinakita na ni ma'am. Okay, bonus, papasa lahat. Bonus, papasa lahat. So yun, papasa lahat, di ba? So ayan, self-control in the classroom can be taught to students by encouraging them to penalize themselves for inappropriate behavior. Letter B, suggesting forms of self-instruction such as stop, look, and listen, or count to 10 before saying anything. Letter C, reprimanding the students on a continuous basis. And letter D, encouraging them to criticize one another. Okay, very good. The correct answer for this one, it's letter B. It only means papasa at magtatap kayong lahat. Okay, what's the explanation for this one? Number 65. What's the explanation? Accordingly, control, no? Control of a student behavior should be transferred from extrinsic sources. In this case, the efforts of a teacher or other pupils to his or her own powers of self-direction. Self-control is difficult and takes time and patience. Okay, so congratulations everyone. So can you please count your scores and then try to type your answer your score po here sa chat box. So huwag kayong mahiya, okay? Huwag kayong mahiya. Ma'am Thea, I'm really sorry ma'am and thank you so much ma'am for doing the favor. I'm really sorry ma'am, hindi ko ma-share yung screen ko. So hindi ata updated si Zoom. Okay, so yes ma'am, thank you pa talaga ma'am. Sorry. Okay, so fresh pa ba ang lahat? Or murag dili na? Dili na? Fresh pa ba? Or gigutom na, no? Gigutom na ata. Sige. So, of course, congratulations in advance and saludo ako sa inyo for the sacrifices, di ba? So, yan. For number 1, wait po. Let me check for number 1. The correct answer for number 1, it's, wait lang po. Allow me to check. Number 1, it's letter C po. Letter C. No, letter C. Okay, sige. So, what's your score? Can you please drop your score here in our chat box? What's your score? Ayan. So, thanks po, sir. Sige po. Before we will leave, pictorial muna tayo, di ba? Pictorial muna. Sige. I will pin first from Hinigaran. Okay. Spotlight for everyone from Hinigaran. Ayan. Wait. Ayan. So,